All right, hello and welcome to our Season 5 Draft League analysis. I'm Sigtrick, of course, and I am joined by my good friends Connix and
Hello.
Colin.
What's up, gamers?
And like I said, this is an analysis video, so we're going to be going through each of the drafted teams. This is our Natdex edition. I don't know if I said that a while ago. So lots of good options for every team this season. Even though they had 10 slots, I think just the caliber of the teams looks a lot scarier. And we're going to start off with the Quebec Quaquaval, our first seed in the draft. So obviously, first seed, you get pick a litter for your first pick. He went with a classic Iron Valiant. And some would, I don't know. I think a lot of people were like, oh, there's Dragapult, oh, there's Tapu Koko. Iron Valiant still, obviously a great pick. Just not the one I predicted to go, the very first slot. I mean, thoughts on that?
It's so
Yeah,
reliable.
it's all reliable, yeah. It's just really good, especially with well, obviously we have Fluttermane banned, but it's just sort of rises up to fill that niche of fast fairy that gets faster with a booster energy, can
Mm-hmm.
clean up games, can sweep, it gets encore to just be annoying, and that can give it the opportunity to set up if it needs. It's just a really potent mon.
It also could be unpredictable, right? I mean, it's a mixed attacker,
Mm-hmm.
so you can kind of run it many different ways. Like you said, it's got utility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thunder. I think it gets Thunderwave. Yeah, no, and it gets Hypnosis too.
So,
We don't have Sleep Band or anything.
so,
Yeah.
so that you brought up, you've segued into something I should have asked before we even hit the record button here, but I'll ask it live. So I've we have these slots in right here for what I consider relevant moves. Trick Room probably is not the most relevant here for singles, but I mean, what do you think of the moves we have listed here? Anything you would want to swap in?
No, just scrolling through, everything looks pretty good. Hazards and removal and pivoting are like probably the three most important, and then you got right, yeah, knockoff is next up, and then some healing is pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
Notably, Slugwalk does not have Wish, which is something that he DM'd, or I think maybe he put it in general, but he mentioned that he wanted some Wish, but he decided to get Miltank instead. He was considering dropping it for something else that had Wish. Oh, Dino would to get Wish, but I think Miltank is actually pretty solid here.
It's got like super good abilities, and we're kind of jumping down the list here, but
Hmm.
it's got
Yeah.
the right list right there: thick, fat, scrappy, sap sipper. Like those all have use. I
Hmm.
think I would have liked to have seen maybe Terra Water on it. I don't remember what Terra he assigned to it, but I think that would have been
It's not
really
a Terra
good.
Captain.
It's not, oh, yes,
The Terra Captains
Yeah,
are Rotom
Orbeetle
and
that's right.
and
Orbital.
They're highlighted in F and purple. The but I thought Terra Water with thick fat would have been really like a really good like pivot into counter some things.
He
But
actually could make it a Terra Captain over Orbital if he wants. It could still be one. I actually really like the Thick Fat with the Rillaboom. I think that's going to be really difficult to remove those two because it'll resist the fire and the ice, which is just a great switch in for two of the types that threaten Rillaboom the most.
yeah, that's true. Could also, I guess, I
Um,
mean, you have the rock weakness, but I mean, I'm just segueing into Rillaboom there. You could do Terra Fire. You still get the extra ice and fire resist, but then you have a little extra resistance to ground due to the Terra Grass or terrain
mhm,
grass, grassy terrain.
mm,
There we
mhm.
go. But the yeah, it's interesting. I mean, round two still again the thing's full of power. I mean, Dragapult was left on the
Uh-huh.
board, right? But I mean, he got Chi-Yu in round two, which is another powerful menace. Um,
Yeah, and I
Made it all the way
especially I
back around to him. That was crazy.
yeah, I really do like it with Valiant too because Valiant is more of like it's like a sweeper, but it actually doesn't have a lot of the raw power that you'd expect from a mon that is like a sweeper. And Chiyu is just like an incredible wall breaker. So I really like the combination where Chiyu can break those like bulky walls that Valiant can't quite muscle through on its own. And then you have Valiant to clean in the late game. I really like the dual offensive top two.
yeah, I mean, Beats of Ruin really jacks up the stats. I mean, we have the numbers listed out there. Iron Valiant certainly is not anything to be scoffed at with 130 attack and
Hmm.
120 special attack, but that 135 is way bigger than 135 for GU.
Hmm. And then yeah, the 25% extra from Beads of Ruin, and also the base power of the moves is higher too, or at least with if you're using like Fire Blast or Overheat,
Mm-hmm.
much stronger than like the Moon Blast. Close combat's still really strong from Valiant.
Oh yeah.
Then he next up he got his like sort of defensive core, and I really like the well the one thing is that the Gliscor and the Rillaboom share that ice weakness,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of why I really like the Thick Fat on the Miltank, and then Empoleon's a quad resist, and even Chiyu has good special defense and resists ice, and most ice moves are special,
Mm-hmm.
so that's pretty cool.
No, that's a good point. I mean, he kind of, and then, look, it seems like he was kind of conscious of it as he was pulling through. I mean, he picked up, he got his fire, he's got his grass. Like, okay, maybe he was like, oh, I have a decent ice weakness at this point. Let me get a quad resist. So yeah, maybe so. I mean, then he
It is kind of
picks
funny that most of the team has something like is either weak or resist ice, and it's just Orbital and Valiant that are neutral.
I mean, ice and ground are both like really hard to like build your team around because they have like 5 things they're super effective against, right? I think that's true of ice. I know it's true of ground, but I don't know, the Orbital, you mentioned that. I'm a little bit more of a believer than a hater than I originally was on it. I looked at its stats. You know, it's got 110, 120 for the defenses. 60 HP is not a lot, but I mean, Rotom has 50. So it can be bulky. It's got 90 speed, which is not. I mean, again, it's really just kind of Rotom pilled in terms of his stat spread. So I mean, with a good Terra type, it could do some stuff.
Yeah, I talked to Slug about it, and the big thing that he wanted Orbital for was Sticky Web. He wanted the option of having Sticky Web on his team. So like in that case, he could have like the thing is if he got Galvantula, which is probably the best Webber, he would have had to drop some other stuff that he wasn't really considering dropping. I think that may have been a little bit better than I don't know. It depends on what he could have got over the Dragalge, which is the other thing he picked up when he got the Orbital. But yeah, no, I think it's decent. It's a decent Terra Captain. The only thing is that it doesn't get Terra Blast because it's not in Gen 9.
That's
so
true.
you're a purely defensive Terra Captain, which is okay when you got Calm Minded and Recover.
I don't think very many coaches picked up Sticky Web on the initial draft, and I think a lot of people picked it up in post when we had the grace period. And we can kind of go over that as we move down the list. What have we not talked about here? We got Dragalge, Frostlass. I don't have too much to add in that. I guess you get some extra spikes from Lass. You get a spin blocker.
Yep, I'm pretty sure Dragalge can. Oh wait, we can look. Yeah, it can set and remove toxic spikes. By being a grounded poison type. Gliscor actually gets toxic spikes. I didn't. No, I think it did have it when I used it in season 3. So I'm pretty sure that's been an option. But yeah, the grounded poison type is quite good.
He did a good job covering his bases too. He's only missing a rock typing for stab offense. So and then maybe
like rock's not a type that you really need. Yeah, because rock types defensively not so great.
No, but
so,
I mean,
and he's got you got. Huh?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you got Gliscor can hit with rock coverage if you really want it, and he's got plenty of things that can set rocks too, which is nice, like stealth rocks.
I also noticed that, but something that I didn't realize on first glance, no spinner, which means you have to defog if you want to get rid of the rocks, which means you'll be getting rid of your own. And true. So a lot of hazards for also only having defog. Trying
that's
interesting.
True. Because typically the way I'm okay generally with just defog. But that's usually when you're only going to set like rocks and that's it. But yeah, that's true. You probably would want to pick up a spinner if you're going to try spike stacking with this team. But then again, this team also doesn't have like amazing recovery. This team to me feels like a quicker win the game before your opponent can like set up too much.
I don't know.
So you don't really need the recovery.
It's got some bulk in there. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Gliscor's slow,
I guess
bulky, Empoleon, blocky. I mean, you have Rotom, which I typically think as like a bulky pivot. I mean, you can obviously make it a trick, like
that's true. It gets
choice item, but
yeah, and he's still got Pain Split for healing technically. But what I was just thinking is like it's okay to just sort of set rocks and then just kind of go from there with this team. But yeah, it does have a lot of options to set the other hazards.
How do we feel about the speed tier of this team?
Let me check those.
I got it in order here on the blue.
Yeah. I think it's kind of slow overall, and I don't think it has a lot of great ways to improve that outside of the sticky webs. But then, as I said before,
but then also Valiant is kind of crazy with the booster too.
That's true. But you only get it once, so. And that can be played around if you know that the Valiant isn't going to come in until it's time to clean up. It limits your options, basically.
And I guess
something I do like about this team, though, is that it has just overall, a lot of the mons are just high like base stat totals, and I think that is something to be said for that, to just like have a lot of stats to go around. Even the ones that aren't super high have them allocated in a nice way, like Orbital. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and same with like
Galaxy.
Frostlass. Frostlass is not like a crazy high base stat to them on, but it's got them where you want them. You know, it's got special attack, it's got speed. It's kind of all
Well,
you
I
want
actually
from a
think
special
Frost is
attacker.
like the only one that doesn't.
it's got like 80 special attack. I'm not gonna brag about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it actually 80? I thought it was
Yeah.
like one. I thought it
Yeah.
was 110, 110.
No, it's
Oh,
it's
damn.
quite bad.
Oh, I thought he had one. Oh, yeah, you're right.
But it does,
Damn.
have, it,
Frostlass is one of
does,
my
it, does
favorite
have, it does
Pokemon.
have two of the best offensive stabs in the game, so
true.
there's something to be said about that. But yeah, I mean, overall, it seems like a very balanced team. I know our draft fanatic Dave said this was the scariest team that he looked at on the board. So got a vote of confidence from that guy. But any closing remarks for this team, or should we move on to the next one?
I think that's all I had to say.
Okay. Well, second up in our draft order was the Winterville Weaville, piloted by our good pal Fred. He got the Tapu Koko. He really wanted the Tapu Koko. That was his. He was like, hey, please don't take it from me, Slug. And sure enough, he got the Tapu Koko, and he got quite a few Ironmons. Honestly, I think more than he originally planned to go with it.
Yeah, 3 of them.
But Tapu Koko,
Good variety of them too.
yeah. Well, Koko good on its own, but when you're boosting up a bunch of Mons for free, I mean, it's like obviously it's like a weather team, but the I mean, both Leaves and Jugulus can, depending on the IV them, you can get speed or special attack. Same thing for Moth. And I think he's got a good type variety amongst them. I mean, obviously, again, we see just like the last team. I think the only standout weakness is well, I guess the other one had ice weakness too, but maybe we were talking about the Reed's actual stabs. But I've lost my train of thought. But
Yeah, no, it's super solid. The one thing that's really fun is that you actually get to wear boots on your Iron Mons, like specifically Moth and Jugulus if you want, which is like one of the big weaknesses of Moth, like normally, is that you're a fire type that's weak to rocks that really wants to hold a different item. But yeah, you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about hazards because you can wear boots if you want. Or even a life orb on top of it. Get the speed and a damage boost. Really good. Honestly, if the team, like the original draft of the team, I think did just have Coco and Moth, and that's honestly enough, just because Moth is that good and Coco is that good on their own, But then, like, you could just add more for free. Like, there's no downside to adding the Iron Pokemon because they're pretty decent. I generally think the past ones are a little bit better, but when they get a free booster energy, you can't really complain about it.
Well, I think that's a general statement. Maybe it's still true, but I know just the availability of electric terrain was pretty minimal, which why the past was generally considered better. But and I think he did have Iron Leaves on his initial draft. He dropped it for like Iron Boulder and then got it back.
Yeah. I think that's right.
One of the problems of this team, and he's fixed it well since then, was it had a big ground weakness. I mean, his first two were Coco and Moth, and then he followed up with a little Bola and Lando.
Landorus helps a ton too. Yeah,
absolutely. So, but I mean, Leaves, typically you're afraid of like, I can blow up if I get U-turned. But I mean, it's base 104, you can IV it so you can get the extra speed, and you're not really worried about the U-turn as much. Or you can switch into your Lando with Rocky Helmet and like choose something up that tries to turn into you. So I'm interested to see. I don't think we've gotten to really see Iron Leaves shine, but I think this is certainly the team that can make it happen.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting because
I've used Iron Leaves before. I hope that he can make it work better than I could.
Well, it has a cool signature move. It was like Psyblade or something, which gets an additional boost in the terrain. So it's got like a 120, 130 like base, stab attack to utilize, which is nice.
U-turn magnet, I fear.
It is, but again, you got some things you could pivot to U-turns into.
You compared it to a weather team, and honestly, I think obviously the terrain gives a less boost than the weather. It's a 1.3 compared to the 1.5. But one thing that's really interesting is that the terrain abilities are so much rarer than the weather abilities, or even just weather moves. That it's like a weather that nobody's going to or not nobody. There's a couple teams in the league that have terrain, but that very much less people are going to try and overwrite your terrain. Like in let's say probably 6 or 7 of your matchups out of your 8-week spread, you're probably going to get your terrain for free in 6 or 7 of them, which is really good.
Yeah, I mean, bring your ice spinner, right? So.
Yeah.
Let's see. In terms of general utility, what we have? We got rocks on Lando and Bronzong. I think both of those perfectly acceptable to fit into their kits. I mean, obviously you can run Lando with
every hazard on Spidops.
Yeah.
Except the rocks.
He picked that up with his points. I guess Spite Ups has a little bit more stats, but I was kind of wondering, like, we could have grabbed Smeargle for the same value. Bigger move
That's
pool
true,
for,
yeah.
well, I don't know. I mean, on Lando again could be Stealth Rock, but it's Lando, so that's one of the problems with Lando is it's hard to predict. It could be like Choice Scarf and just be a little menacing in multiple regards. But Toxic Spikes on Moth. He does have a Rapid Spinner, a couple of Defoggers.
Yeah.
Probably Coco's probably not your go-to for that.
Yeah.
Plenty.
And defog will also remove the terrain as well. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Of. But
Yeah.
I mean, I love Cyclizar's at spinner. Just regen on it is so good. Even though it's not like particularly bulky, just getting the health back is really nice. When you just come in, spin, get out of there, come back in at near full, really good.
Mm-hmm. And then plenty of switch initiative here. I mean,
Yeah, so much actually.
So much U-turn.
So yeah, pretty crazy. A lot of knockoff too. Why does a Lomomola get knockoff? What? Like
It slaps you with the fin.
Yeah, those giant fins that just hit you.
Let's see. We've got plenty of taunt. That's good.
Oh no, not much status spreading though. Just Thunderwave on the Coco. I would have thought Iron Moth gets Will-O-Wisp, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Odd.
And then you're probably not gonna be doing Trick on Bronzong, but I guess you could. Yeah, I mean overall, very good team. I think the speed tiers look pretty good. You got 130, 121, 110, 108.
Especially when you can put a free booster on anything.
Absolutely.
If you want.
So good.
This is a team speed that I like.
Yeah.
I'm very glad I don't have to face this team.
Oh no, I think I do.
Oh, is he not?
Yeah,
is he not on your schedule? Okay.
I don't think so.
Fair enough. Cool deal. Well, I mean, overall, I like it. The lots of offensive power. You have the Regenerator Mon with a Lomomola.
And Wish passing too with Wish and then slow flip turn. So strong.
True.
Especially for Landorus, actually. Landorus, that's the one thing Landorus lacks. It's kind of got everything in its toolkit except the ability to heal itself. And when you pass it in an Lomomola Wish, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's real nice. And of course, we have actually 3 ground immunities to help out with. I think he's only down to 2 actually. Actual weaknesses to ground at this point. So not even a big
It's
thing.
unless he goes heat proof on Bronzong.
Which you could do, when
sometimes there's a time
people
and
are like,
place.
yeah.
There's certainly, well, you're probably not going to bring it against the Sun team, but I mean, there's certainly going to be some water fire moves. But, yeah, overall, looks very solid to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, Kyle.
Actually, I have one more thing before we move on.
Okay.
What does Lapras do? Everyone so I asked, and everybody was like, "No, dude, Lapras is good," and nobody explained to me why. I still don't get it.
Lapras is goated. What do you mean?
Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Move on.
I love that I'm in the know on this. It's so funny.
All right, Kyle. We have your team here. I guess you could just tell us where we're wrong on this, and you can certainly, or you can take the lead on it. However you would like
you should take the lead.
Okay.
Yeah. So, previously, my teams had been a little too, let's say, setup sweeper. I don't know how. Reliant. And I wanted some just real offense from the get-go, and I think that Bundle is just one of the hardest mons to switch into. So, I also just didn't want to play against it. So the best way to guarantee that is to get it myself. And then I knew I wanted Sand again. I just think Sand is really good, and a Hippo is a really nice defensive mon. And now that I have access to the fossils, I can do Dracozolt or Dracovish. But with Bundle, I wanted Zolt instead.
Mm-hmm.
And then otherwise, I knew I wanted Oricorio now that I could be a Terra Captain, because it led the league in kills last single season, and now can Terra. That's crazy. And then Victini is just one of my favorite Pokemon, so I knew I wanted that. But otherwise, I think my team's gonna be is really bulky. It's gonna be very hard to kill.
I mean, you have Umbreon as a wish support. It can slow what do you call it? Baton pass.
Pivot.
Yeah, slow pivot.
And again, like we just talked about with the Landorus not being able to heal itself, that's like the one flaw that Mega Aggron has, that it can't heal itself, and you can wish to it with Umbreon.
I'm super jealous of the Dracozolt and Sand. It's something like it was in the back of my head because the Dracozolt, I had it in my very first draft league. I loved it. It did not have Sand Rush though. That would have been so cool. This thing hits so hard with a Bolt Beak or whatever it's called. So that's gonna be terrifying to see that. Just do you don't have to run Hustle either unless you really want to be that guy that week. But the you could choice Bandit and just get the speed boost and just click the bolt. As long as your opponent doesn't have like a reliable like pivot into it, that thing just will take names. Obviously Hippo, tried and true favorite of yours. I think this is your 4th season having it.
It is. It is the 4th season with Hippo.
And then you mentioned Bulk. I mean, there's Tapu Fini, 2 of the best defensive typings packed into one. But I mean, it's not just Bulk. I mean, you have we were having this question of the day earlier. You have 2 of the scariest captains.
Yeah.
Like Mousehold being a captain's crazy, just Terra Normal, do damage with Box Bomb. And then of course the Oricorio just has even more flavors now, right?
Yep. Revelation Dance can be any type now.
Now, in terms of hazards, you're a little bit more focused on Stealth Rock. You don't have spikes or toxic spikes or webs.
I actually would love to explain this.
Okay.
I think that after realizing that I kind of realized this last single season I had Rabombi is for sticky webs. I think that all entry hazards are terrible for your action economy, except for Stealth Rocks. So I'm using a little bit of a video game design lingo here, but basically every turn that you are not like advancing your game state, your game plan, is a turn wasted. And taking 3 turns of setup for spikes, or 2 turns for toxic spikes, maybe you only need 1, but only for that all to be erased by a single rapid spin in 1 turn, where they also get a speed boost, so they advance their game plan even more. I think it's terrible. I think that it's a waste of turns, and other than rocks, which are you only need to do it once, and they're pretty usually on good Pokemon already.
I agree and I disagree. Generally, I agree. I think having the option for certain matchups to do the other 2 is good. I mean, granted, 1 layer spikes, you're already getting the chip, aside from flying and levitate mons. And of course, your opponent has even a poison grounded mon. It's like, well, do I really want to bother with toxic spikes? So yeah, Stealth Rock is the most consistent. You're not necessarily locked into having to put up multiple layers of the other 2. I don't know. Just it's an option. It's going to depend on your opponent of the week. But as long as you have consistent rocks, which you do, I do think that is the bare minimum for hazards. So I think you're fine in that regard.
It really depends on the type of team. Like stall teams, they want max hazards up all the time because their game plan relies on forcing your opponent. You send in your Blissey, they have a special attacker out. Now they have to switch. Now they take all that hazard damage. Your team, I don't think you'd need it. I do think the spikes do have a place, because if you have a team that has a couple steel types, there is one that has I think 4 steel types coming up. That's a team where you'd probably want some spikes, because when the steel types resist rock, spikes just more valuable in that matchup than rocks.
We do not care. V-create.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going down to utility here. I mean, in terms of your hazards, you don't have much in terms of rapid spin. So, I mean, you are probably going to be clicking the defog on top of Finny most of the time. So,
I do have Tidy Up, which isn't included on there.
That's true. That's true. I did. You're right. You do have Tidy Up. That is an option. So both your Terra Captains have ways, I guess, of cleaning it up. Though I would be surprised to see you click defog on Oricorio, but
why click defog when I can just kill them?
You have some decent Swish Initiative in there. Does Bundle also get Flip Turn?
It does.
Yes.
Okay, so probably somewhat preferred outside of water absorb teams, but the and then I love it when a mon that's probably going to be choiced has U-turns. I see Victini. I don't know your plans there, but I mean that seems like a good choice Scarf option for that 160, 170.
Wait, why does Bundle get U-turn? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I think they might be including Flip Turn as well. That might be U-turn and Flip Turn.
Actually, that's a good question. Is Flip Turn on the drop down option? Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, Bundle does get U-turn. What the heck? I did not know that.
There's no reason to use it when it has Flip Turn, but yeah.
Well,
I guess if they have water absorb, you can just click U-turn.
Right. I mean, that's the same thing with like electric types. If they have both, in
yeah,
in
like Zapdos gets both.
Yeah. And if my opponent has like Volt Absorb or a bunch of ground types, I'm like, all right, maybe I'll run U-turn this week, right? But the knockoff Feeny, didn't expect to see that.
I did not realize that either. I knew Armaldo got it. That's one of the reasons I drafted it. But
another Finn knockoff.
Yeah, you got a little cleric action with Umbreon. That's always nice if your Aggron or your Dracozolt get burnt. That's a nice little thing, or you get like paralyzed on somebody else. But and good lord, you're set on taunt. So
yeah. Oh yeah, bundle or Mousehold could also get burned by like Flame Body or Static. The Umbreon can help with that.
Odds are probably will. So
yep, almost certainly, unless you miss.
He's known to do that.
Yep.
I didn't even see. You could do Trick Victini with the choice items and the aforementioned U-turn too. So yeah, Victini's pretty solid. Yeah, I like that. Actually, you could do that with Finny. I know choice items is not a Finny's not a stranger to those, and at least in terms of VGC. I don't know about in singles, but yeah, the options there. Got good speed tiers, 136, 111, 100. So you got your people are going to be forced to use their IVs in a certain way, so that's good. Overall solid on the stats. Weaknesses, you got some overlay in here, but I think some of them are on the. Let's see, what are your big concerns? I guess
so. Oricorio is kind of throwing off the math here a little bit. But for the most part, I am like rock types are a problem. And stealth rocks. That's why I'm like. It's very possible that I run boots on a lot of these mons, even on ones you wouldn't traditionally.
Right.
But at least for rock type attackers, you got Hippo and Aggron. Like, there's not really two mons that deal with rock type attackers better than that.
Yeah, and that's like my defensive core. I think it really does help balance out even though the bad weaknesses. Except for kind of like I don't know. It says that I have a fighting weakness, which is only kind of true.
I mean,
Mousehold does not count.
Yeah.
And Mega Aggron and the fighting moves are usually physical, and Aggron is not.
And filter.
And with filter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And Feeny can take some of those hits pretty well.
And you technically could also have a ghost type if you really need it too, where that's not counted here.
Yep.
You don't have a lot of switch-ins for a ground move. A ground move can just hit you neutrally, minimally most of the time, barring Oricorio. So that might be a concern. And then let's see. Yeah, we already talked about rock. So yeah, overall that's kind of like the spread of things. Any last little tidbits you want to throw out for your team?
I don't think there's anything off the top of my head, but I am hoping I will be getting on Mousehold sweep at some point, and I will not miss
sweep. Okay.
Sweep.
My closing argument, or not argument, my closing comment for your team is this: two things. It's one, this is your best looking team hands down that you've had. I don't have to squint my eyes to look at it. And two, I think this is your most threatening team that you've built so far. I think this team is legitimately scary. So I'm looking forward to see what you can do with it this season.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Bayleaf. Why don't you start us off with this one, Conix?
All right, yeah, Bokos. He finally got the Urshifu Rapid Strike that he's been yearning for all that time. This team's a little bit different than it was when he drafted it. I don't actually remember exactly what it looked like, but I do like a lot of the changes. I think the extra couple Swift Swimmers really, gave him some more well-rounded. It made him a real rain team. Before we were just like, okay, yeah, you've got Pelipper and you've got Ludicolo, and I guess Urshifu hits a little bit harder, but it's not really a rain team.
Yep.
But now he's got like that Barraskewda, that's gonna be a nightmare to switch into. Like if it's banded, it could go for either the liquidation or the flip turn. It just keeps you on your feet. Dragonite's actually a really nice pickup for a rain team. Traditionally, you'd use it as like a Dragon Dance sweeper to just set up and attack physically, but in the rain, you can do choice specs. Or you probably wouldn't do choice specs. You probably still do boots because you want to keep multi-scale active. But it's got Hurricane and Thunder, which is really cool. Those hit so hard just because of the base power. And in the rain, they don't miss. Ferrothorn gets its 4 times weakness to fire reduced down to 2 times. Just a monster. It's going to be very hard to take down. And I also, especially with like the Dragonite Nidoking, got a couple fighting resists. some decent switch-ins for that Ferrothorn.
Mm-hmm.
Jolteon's great, fast, got Thunder in the rain. Also, Weather Ball, one thing that Jolteon is typically lacking is coverage, and getting a nice water move on it, powered up by the rain, pretty good, lets it beat not grass types, ground types pretty easily. Yeah, anyone else want to say anything?
You covered like all the Mons with that. I think
one thing that I think that is he should be scared of is if he runs into Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry eats this team alive.
Do you play this team?
I do play this team.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know what he does.
I took a look at his matchups. He also plays the Kyurem team too. That's very unfortunate.
He also plays against, let's not forget, Arctivish, who also is a freeze dry mod.
Oh, of course. How could we forget?
The classic Arctivish.
I'm gonna make people a believer. I'm saying.
I hope so.
The final, and I was really worried about this team, as you mentioned. He made a lot of changes, and he had made one big change before the last big change, and I was just like, hey man, I know I said you were low on like things to take advantage of rain, but you didn't need to have like, what did he have, 7 waters or something at the time? I don't remember.
He had a lot for a little while.
But he got the Nidoking in that, and I think he may have got the
Jolteon
of the Dragonite. Yeah. Oh, Nidoking's crazy. I mean, he could just do a lot of things. I mean, obviously, it doesn't want to get hit by a water move, but I mean, you got to have some kind of water weakness somewhere, I guess. And then Ludicolo, I've tested it before. It's with Terra Fairy, like Life Orb. It's a menace in the rain.
The only thing that's a little bit awkward is that Jolteon really loves to be a Terra Captain, but he just can't afford it if he wants to have, because Jolteon and Ludicolo can't be Terra Captains together.
You also mentioned he has Weather Ball, so it's not as big a deal. Like typically you want it for the coverage, but you can hit those ground types that you can't hit now. So I think
you are still walled by grass types though, is the problem.
And
this team actually does not hit grass types. I guess you got your flying types with Hurricane. That's how you kill grass types. And Nidoking too, actually.
You have Ice Beam, and you can always switch in Ferrothorn to sit on the other grass types if you need to.
The problem with Ferrothorn is that it can't really make much progress against bulky grasses, since it usually uses Leech Seed to whittle.
That's true.
Down.
I mean, you have Thunder Wave, you have Body Press.
You can be annoying else. Yeah, otherwise that's true.
Body Press, again, you have high defense, and you don't have to worry about your offensive stats, so you can get some chip.
It can set up Curse too, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't seen it used, but it's definitely a possibility.
Because I'm just thinking about a set that could be like Curse with Gyro Ball and then either Power Whip or the Body Press, since it still boosts your defense as well. Could be interesting.
The Ferrothorn obviously fits great in his team. It was like my one sad thing from the entire draft. I am happy for him that he kept it. It's perfect for a rain team. And I think the only person that would have fit better was the other rain team. So, I personally would have liked to have had it just to play against the rain teams, right? But no, it looks good. What do we have here? We have Stealth Rocks, we have Spikes, and Ferrothorn probably be the one to cover that most weeks. If you really needed them, you have Toxic Spikes and Nidoking. Also, Nidoking gives them the cleanup, so that's nice. He has Defog Pelipper, which is probably going to be the hazard removal. Again, no Rapid Spinner. Let's see. I guess Jolteon is
That is actually true. That's probably his big not downfall, but downside with the team is that it's quite difficult for him to clear hazards.
Wait, Ferrothorn doesn't get Rapid Spin. What?
No, it doesn't.
It just looks like a mod that should.
The Spikes would just dig into the ground. But realistically though, like he can get away with just running Boots, Dragonite, and Pelipper. And
Dragonite for sure.
The hazards really aren't going to be too much of a problem for this team. He's got Volt Absorb on Jolteon with some additional electric management. Let's see. In terms of 2 U-turns, Volt Switch. So got some switch initiative. Pelipper has knockoff. Always forget that. I guess you could Heal Bell with Jolteon. It's not it's not thick like some of the other EVs, but it can
But it doesn't need all its move slots though, because you're probably just going to be running like Thunder, Volt Switch, Weather Ball, and then one other whatever.
I don't even know why I brought it up. We got Aromatherapy on Bayleaf.
Oh yeah, it's Bayleaf.
Let's see. Again, no Willow. Quite a few Thunder Waves, so you definitely get the paralysis passed around. Speed, obviously, he's got some fast mons. He's going to even have faster mons when the Swift Swim goes up. So
Oh my god, the Barraskewda is insane.
It is. It is.
With Swift Swim up.
That was a
You
great.
probably don't even need to invest in speed. You could just invest like HP attack and then just use the speed.
No, it's a great pickup, and it's got good coverage moves too. Close combat, I think it's got drill. Was it drill run or whatever the ground move is?
Psychic Fangs.
does.
Oh yeah, if you're going up against like screens that week, sure.
Crunch, flip turn. Yeah.
Yeah, looks good in that regard. He is missing a lot of stabs. I don't think that's unusual for a weather team.
Yeah, it's just
but
just raid.
Yeah. In terms of weaknesses, what do we have here? Is there anything that kind of is more glaring than the others? Maybe flying types.
Not having a fairy kind of just means that dragons are pretty much free into everything but the Ferrothorn.
Yeah, that's true. If it wasn't for the Ferrothorn, Outrage would be a button that could be clicked. But I guess he has Terra Fairy Ludicolo, so let's not rule that out.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, overall, I think it's a pretty balanced team. I mean, the numbers down here,
I think
are very balanced too.
I think the big weakness, like Colin mentioned, is freeze dry. Is like the one thing that you got like kind of. Well, you don't even lose to because you can always outpace it and just kill it before it kills you, but you do have to be extra careful of it.
I did consider Terra Ghost for Arctivish just to laugh at the Rapid Strike Urshifu. But with water absorbing Ghost, it can't hit him. I decided against, but yeah. No, overall, pretty strong team. Ludicolo is a good captain.
Bayleaf's a great captain too.
It's there.
Bayleaf's like the mascot.
It is the mascot. He might have to
change. That's one of the things he dropped. He dropped the
Obstagoon.
Obstagoon. He had the mascot pick, then he dropped it to make his team more solid. Which
I agree. It's
very sad, but it's necessary.
It's awkward, yeah. I don't know why it was worth.
That's why you just pick a good mon as your mascot. It's too easy.
I have a good mon as my mascot, and I've still never drafted it because it's always valued too high. But
yeah. You're just wrong, but it's okay.
No, all right.
Maybe Reg G will be your time.
Maybe. I don't know if I want to go down that. Real quickly, I'll say I think Whimsicott probably should drop in value because just there's so many other Prankstermons that do its job the exact same, only that Whimsicott is just faster than them, and that's not relevant enough to be S tier in my opinion. But anyways, moving right along. Charlottezards. So immediately the second Urshifu got picked up in right after this team. Single strike. One of the three mons that was added back in off of the initial list that we had, which was banned. Iron Bundle also being one of those. But single strike, a menace. I'll be interested to see what it can do in singles. It's obviously been banned from normal OU for a long time. But
since Gen 8, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you get the Wicked Blow, which they nerfed a little bit, 80 to 75, but it's still crazy. You have Close Combat 120. You have things that hit fairies with Poison and Steel, Iron Head and Poison Jab, U-Turn.
Yeah.
Anytime you choice scarf something, you have to U-Turn. It's a good time. So yeah, just fantastic mon. I think Scizor was his second pick. You get some removal. And Scizor was if it wasn't my favorite, it was probably like tied for my favorite mon that I used in season 3. It just hits hard. It's got U-turn. It got something.
Did it have Bug Bite when you used it?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't.
Because Bug Bite is crazy with Technician, and it definitely has that back in Natdex.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I'm trying to think. There was something I thought it got. Oh, the other thing it got back is banned anyways. Is Pursuit. Which would have made it even more crazy. But no, just a solid mon. And he'll get good use out of that for sure. I think this is his second time having it too. I'm pretty certain he sniped it from me in season 1. And then we have Gengar, tried and true. It no longer has Levitate, so it can clean up the poison spikes. Spin block, Shadow Ball. Obviously.
Imagine if Natdex let you use legacy abilities again, and you could have
Levitate
Gengar again.
That would be crazy. Just to have the option. Because I honestly cleaning up spikes is nice, but the overall nerf was getting losing Levitate. But
well, yeah, you clean up toxic spikes, but now you get your sash broken by regular spikes. If you're running sash, you could be running specs or something too.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see what else we have here. We have Quaquaval as an additional spinner and his water type, an additional fighting type, but probably not necessary with Urshifu, but it's there. You have some Volt.
Actually, if you want a water type spinner, I don't think either Blastoise got taken. That could be an option too.
That's true. Quaquaval's obviously actually no, it's not that fast. It's only 85. It has the Aqua Step that makes it fast. I always forget that. Let's see, we have some electric absorption with Thunderous Therian.
It hits like a truck too. That mon hits so hard.
What's that base attack? Where's that thing?
145.
Oof. Yeah, that's crazy. If you don't have electric resist, that's going to be free. At the very least, going to be free Volt switches. We see the infamous Screamtail that in Season 1 caused a match to go over 100 turns.
Oh my god! I wasn't glad I wasn't there for that.
That was one of the other reasons I wanted Screamtail so I didn't have to deal with it.
If you had Screamtail, you would have had Dave's team from Season 1. You would have had Screamtail and Iron Bundle. But unfortunately, I was the guy who had to play against that in the 100-turn match. But
no!
It finally went down. The reason it didn't go on as long as it did is because I had Glare and Slowking use was it Eerie Spell? I forget what the move is.
His PP spell.
Yeah, I got rid of the power points and it ran out of wishes, and then his team fell apart. But until then, it was just regenerating everything. It was annoying. The Torterra, which I think is a great mon. I told him, I said, you really should make this a Terra Captain if you're gonna have it.
Can't believe it's not a Terra Captain.
I told him, I said, hey man, if you're not gonna use it as a Terra Captain, please trade it to me. I will make it a Terra Captain. But he said maybe later. I'm like, well, it's gonna cost us a point, but we'll cross it when we get there. But I think it's a good mon. It's a threatening mon. You have to this thing could, if he brings it this week, I have to worry about Shell Smash. Just not as terrifying without the Terra. Obviously, you have your quad weak to ice. There's some things you can't hit as hard. But Orthworm is still a great Terra Captain. You have the immunity to ground. Just I don't know. Orthworm does things. I'm not a full-on believer of all the things it does because it just feels like it kind of is a one-trick pony. But it does the trick okay. You get rocks and you eat ground moves. I guess you body press and iron defense if your opponent lets you.
Yeah. No. You coil Iron Tail.
Oh, okay.
For the accuracy.
I mean,
that's fun.
It's a thing. And then we have we have Gliss baby Crocalor there as the other Terra Captain. I don't know how often it will show up to the fight, but and then I don't know what.
I love that he's wearing a sombrero.
It's a unaware mon. If you're about to get set up on, you could maybe save you. Unfortunately, he doesn't get Torch Song though. That would be okay.
That'd be nice.
But he doesn't.
The only other one I haven't really said anything about is this Drampa, and without the chart on the right here, I wouldn't know what it does. But I see Defog and Thunderwave, so I guess those are two things.
Yep. I guess you could also just click Draco Meteor. It's got a decent special attack too.
Overall, though, does it? Let me see. 135. Oh wow, that is way higher than I expected.
Why does Drampa get Defog? I don't get.
He's technically got wings, kind of.
He's a funny little guy, I guess. But the overall,
funny little guy with a huge special attack.
I think the team's very balanced defensively. I mean, just looking at the little type chart there, even I mean, he can mitigate the fighting weakness pretty well. Like Screamtail and Thunderous are not going to be something that he's worried about bringing each week. And then he's got Gengar, so that's fine. And then the only one that's lighting up as red is Flying.
Because you got two fighting types, a grass type.
That's true. If that was a Blastoise. No, I'm kidding. But
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he doesn't have a Mega. So I mean that could be Mega Blastoise.
Oh shit, it could be Mega Blastoise, yeah.
I bet they're pretty similar in point value too. That'd be kind of neat.
Let's see, actually.
Get a little swag on your team. Just saying.
Actually, Quaquaval is 16 points.
If you don't have a
Blastoise,
he's like 10 or 12 or something, right?
Is 13.
Okay.
Holy, why is Quaquaval more expensive than Mega Blastoise? That does not make sense to me.
Mega Blastoise, it can't Shell Smash. It's so sad.
Well, okay, yeah, that would be.
But then regular Blastoise is cheaper than that.
Let's calm down. That would be everyone busted if he was able to. But the, I mean, I think that's something he could potentially look at in the future to maybe to make the team even a little better. But I will say you're pretty swagless if you don't have a Mega on your team.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true. We agree.
So far the swagless teams are Quebec Quaquaval, Winterville Weaville,
call them out,
and City Obstagoons are all very swagless. Actually, every team except Collins thus far is swagless.
Oh, no, Colin, you're the only guy with swag so far. How's it feel?
I mean, that's just a normal day for a guy like me.
I see.
Quebec Quaquaval is actually unfortunate. They had swag and then they gave it up
I think there were
pursuit of.
a couple like that. But to be
Yeah.
fair, they were pretty low tier. But hey, swag is swag. Let's see. Decent hazards. You got some consistent rock users. You do have spikes if you want it. You have toxic spikes if you want it. Plenty of hazard removal. Lots of switch initiative. Knockoff on some good mons. I don't think you would ever run on Gengar, but you never know. Wish support. Plenty of taunt. Plenty of status. I don't know if you would run Screamtail with a trick set. Gengar you could, I guess. But most of the time that's probably going to be Sash. Unless you do like a lefty substitute set, I guess. But
you could do like specs also with a trick on it, and then just like try and either just get some good damage off or trick the specs onto a physical attacker or set up mon or something.
I mean, if you're going up against a team like if you go up against like the Ferrothorn team, right, and it'd be worthwhile throwing specs on your Screamtail and hitting the trick button on it, because I mean that seems like something you could safely switch in to block Screamtail, right? But yeah, it's a thought. Overall, let's see.
Screamtail also gets screens too, which is pretty good if you want to set up with like Shell Smash in particular. Pretty good.
That's true. We're okay. I guess he does have the Torterra. I thought we were alluding back to the Blastoise.
Yeah, no. I was talking about the Torterra.
Which I guess
He
if
had
it's Mega
two Shell
Blastoise, it
Smashers.
can't Shell Smash anyway. So never mind. Let's see. Speed.
Gengar also gets Nasty Plot now. It didn't get that in the past, or like too far past.
Well, I was about to say I was getting ready to dive into speed here. I mean, Gengar 110's decent, but I mean, in general, the team's not like crazy fast and doesn't reach like a high echelon of speed. There's not like any hidden. I mean, you got Bullet Punch priority, which is nice,
And Sucker Punch too on Urshifu.
He got Booster Energy Screamtail.
Oh no. Yeah, I did forget about the Sucker Punch. So I mean, it does have two forms of good priority. So maybe the speed won't be that big an issue.
But yeah, I do kind of expect this team to be a little bit outpaced by some of the quicker teams. But you got bulk, I guess. You're kind of trading. Well, not a ton of bulk.
No, it's like Screamtail, really, for the most part. I mean, I guess Earthworm and Crocodile, your Terra captains, but yeah, could maybe a little weak on the bulk. But hey, nothing a Mega Blastoise can't fix. Anything else we want to talk about this team?
No, I think we kind of mentioned everything.
Okay. Let's see here. Colin, why don't you take Carson's team to start us out?
All right. So I hate Golden Go. This is an anti-Golden Go household. I think he's ugly and dumb, but it's a very good mon.
Can't believe you don't like string cheese.
I love
Golden
string cheese.
gems.
I want to eat him. No, I think that I think the Lele was a really good pickup. And and obviously I'm a big Rabombi enjoyer. Overall, I think this team is incredibly fast. But
Oh my god, yeah.
It comes at the expense of a lot of. I don't know how this team takes a physical hit.
There's
I will
not
say.
a lot of pivots in general. So that's a good point. Blissey obviously is a massive one and has teleport, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, does Blissey give a pivot move? Teleport's great, yeah.
But I think that I like the idea of just if you can get one mon just like set up to tear a big hole through, either be it Sharpedo or Superior or Fire or Lele. Or Golden Go, and I think, and then like the rest of the team should be like fast enough to then come in and clean up whatever you couldn't take care of. I like that philosophy, and I like how many pink Pokemon are on here.
You would like the pink Pokemon.
I'm Tapu Lele is my favorite of the Tapus, so I'm an enjoyer in that regard. We mentioned the Blissey. That was like, I think if I remember correctly, it was Golden Go and Lele were his first two picks, which gave him a big like ghost weakness. So I thought the Blissey was a very good like round 3 pickup. You get the immunity, you get the special wall, you get the slow teleports, which is cool with natural cure. You know, obviously it's not regenerator, but you kind of get the other end of the spectrum. You have soft boiled for the healing part. I think that was a very cool like third round pick.
And Wish too. You get Blissey Wish on everybody.
I also think there's that's true, and massive HP. I think the Lele and Mega Sharpedo is such good synergy because you block priority moves, and then Sharpedo just like gets the freed speed boost and goes ham. So I think that's really cool. And of course, hey, this is our second swag team. We got Mega Sharpedo like right there.
True.
And
Carson does have swag.
Golden Go paired with a Water Dark type that can't miss. That sounds like a great time to me.
Look, you didn't have to click the Ceaseless Edge button. I'm just saying.
I wanted to.
He needed to edge.
Let's go gambling.
Oh man. Let's see what else. We got a couple of rapid spinners. Or no, we got one. We got one rapid spinner and 2 defoggers.
Superior gets defogged.
Right, I was about to say I don't remember that, but
What?
I guess I had her. For,
Wait, I didn't even
I had her for doubles, so I guess it was not something I looked up. But there it is.
I had Superior in singles. That's got to be like a Gen 7 move.
Maybe. Yeah, it's true. A lot of things got defog with the Natdex, so that's probably very true. Why though? I don't know. Got sticky webs, you got rocks, which I mean Blissy's perfect candidate for rocks, so that you don't really need it anywhere else. I think that's fine. Not a lot of switching initiative, surprisingly. Just the Regieleki and the Rabombi.
You have the teleport.
Hey, the teleport Blissey.
Here.
That's true. Okay, yeah, okay, so decent.
Not
See.
on the offensive ones though. You don't get like a U-turn gouging fire or Tapu Lele or Sharpedo or anything like that.
Yeah. Let's see. You got tons of clerics in Hillbill and Aromatherapy. That'll probably be Blissy's job most of the time. Let's see. It's got some Thunderwave options, some trick options, which you can totally do that with Golden Go. Probably not going to do it on Blissey.
You could actually potentially trick. Well, this is a gimmick, but you could trick like a ring target onto a ground type, bait in a ground type, trick a ring target onto it. And now Regieleki can freely spam electric moves. Could be fun.
I remember that,
but probably not consistent.
No, be funny, more so than anything. But you have I guess the only two we haven't talked about the Terra Captains. You have Ditto, who is hey, you want to set up on me? I'll join in on the good time. But I'm probably Scarf.
Yep.
And then you have Malamar, which I don't know a lot of what it does, other than it has that move that reverses the stat changes.
I mean, it's just it's like the OG Contrarymon with
I forgot about that.
Contrary superpower.
That's true. And with Terra, that could be pretty decent. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you got some good Terra types. You got he's lacking a poison type, so getting Terra Poison's pretty good to absorb those toxic spikes, as well as it just resists a lot of Malamar's weaknesses. Resists the bug because that's one of the it's the U-turn Mimon. It's one of those.
Yep.
Resist that, resist fighting, resist fairy, and then that's pretty good. And then what is the other one? Terra Steel, which is just like a good defensive type. So yeah, that's good.
Generically good.
Unfortunately, it did commit the cardinal sin of turning a cutie into that.
We talking about
Inkay
that's
and
true.
Malamar.
That's true. I thought you were talking about him turning
Mind Flayer looking ass.
I thought you were talking about the fact that I let everybody put a shiny on their page and he chose to make that thing his shiny.
That's disgusting.
Gross. It's like even worse.
It's like puke.
Come on, shiny Tapu Lele is right there.
I don't know.
Or can you shiny Goldengo? That's my favorite.
True.
Shiny Rabombi is actually right there.
That's true. That'd be you want to make it more pink. That I forgot who I'm talking to. But...
okay, but it's a good shiny. You can't even lie.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, let's see. What do we got? In terms of stabs, there's a lot missing here in terms of like ground and ice and fighting, like not having good and rock. Like those are like very good offensive types. So like that might be some damage that's lost there.
And also, ground is just a type that you generally want defensively too, to give you a way to stop people from volt switching all over you. Yeah, I mean, Blissey can take them, but you don't actually stop your opponent from gaining momentum for free on this team.
Oh no, they volt switched me and they went out to their Urshifu.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoops. So yeah, I mean that's certainly a weakness. Is anything like glaring in terms of like damage? I guess poison. Let's see. That's Lele Superior. Maybe it's not too bad.
Ground is pretty much unresisted except for Superior and Ribombi.
And Ribombi's not taking many ground hits either.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you'll get lucky with Superior and they hit you with Bulldoze, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for
Superior.
sure.
I did like using Superior more tanky with like synthesis and stuff.
It's oftentimes in doubles, I ran it pretty tanky because you're gonna get the offense just by existing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Glares is you don't have that on the status, but Glare is brutal to try and switch into.
That's another Thunderwave options. That's very true.
That hits ground types too, which is like we said, teams weak to ground types. So Superior is actually a great option to sort of scare them away, because they don't want to get paralyzed.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. It's good. And let's see, Fairy's kind of unchecked, which could maybe bite him.
Generally, the fairy's special, so any types that are mostly special, Blissey does.
That's fair.
Kind of
I
take
don't
care of.
think anybody drafted as Zumaril, so barring Iron Valiant, I think that'll probably be okay. But okay.
Yeah, the problem is like play rough coverage, I think.
Mhm.
But I think it's not gonna be as much of a deal.
Yeah.
It's like the non-fairy types that get it, but
Yeah,
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid team.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a little wary of the lack of stabs, but I think it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Oh, Connix, why don't you take the lead here?
You're up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, when it got to me, there were actually two 19-point mons still available. So I had the choice between Palafin and Dragapult. And I think in a different timeline where I had actually like thought about it and like prepped out a team for Dragapult, I could have built around that. But I did not think Dragapult was going to make it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went with my Palafin team. I knew I wanted Palafin in a Grass Fire Water Core. I had a couple, as we called them during the draft, Diet Coke options for the Grass type and the Fire type. So when I saw Mega Garchomp made it back to me, I actually kind of put that Grass Fire Water Core on the sideline, got the Mega Garchomp. On paper, Mega Garchomp and Palafin are actually kind of similar, where they're just like have huge physical attack, like all right speed stats, but not amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always fun to get two mons that do a similar thing because they can sort of like overwhelm your opponent's physical wall. Like most of the time, players will only have one real physical wall, and if you know Palafin can chunk it for like 70, Garchomp can come in and clean it up, and then the game's kind of free from there. Now the physical wall's dead. So I kind of like that philosophy. It's sort of the same philosophy of like weather teams where they just spam, like, let's just say water type attacks like Boko's team. Eventually you'll wear down your opponent's water resist, and then they won't have a water resist anymore. So that's cool. And also my Mega Garchomp is cheaper than regular Garchomp. Gets spikes too in the worst case scenario. I can use it defensively with spikes. I have plenty of Stealth Rocks, as you can see. Then I got Volcarona as my fire type. I wanted something with Flame Body for because you obviously have to switch Palafin in and out to get it up. So I wanted some Flame Body value, and then I got a Regenerator Grass type for a little bit more switch value.
Mm-hmm.
Around this time, I sabotaged my draft by picking my favorite Munsell Valley. Can be any type, and it is one of my defoggers, which is it's not even on there. Oh yeah, it is. It's just a little blurry. It is on there. Yeah, defog can be any type. I got it listed as a fairy on my team because I don't have a fairy. I had to drop it for Hitmontop because, like I said, like Colin said actually earlier, setting up spikes when you only have defog kind of sucks. So I wanted to get a rapid spinner for that reason. Then I decided to get Bisharp as my Terra captain because it was one of the worst mons to prep into in season 3. I played it, and back then it didn't have like even what I would consider the optimal Terra types. It had Dark, Steel, and Water, and it was still really difficult for me to deal with. So I'm like, if I could get this thing and then give it like Dark, Ghost, Flying, that's kind of a nightmare for my opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to pick something out of 4. I got Corsola Galar because I remember this guy was a menace in Gen 8 OU when he came out. And he's 4 points, and sure, might as well get him. Get Strength Sap, can set rocks, can Will-O-Wisp, do a bunch of annoying stuff.
Yeah, Mon's crazy.
Then I got Kilowattrel because my team is lacking speed, so I wanted to get something pretty quick. Then last one, I had enough points to get Tyranitar to power up that Garchomp's Sand Force ability, which is pretty strong, and Tyranitar is just great on its own too.
Yep. No, it's very solid. And we had a question of the day today that was, who has the best Terra captains. I'm surprised no one threw your name into that. I think you have a very solid pair of Terra captains in Bisharp and Corsola there.
I think everyone just kind of forgot that Corsola is good, actually.
Maybe.
I know. I can't believe it was only 4 points. Like that guy was OU for a while. I guess he did fall off later on. It was probably new toy syndrome.
There is a lot more knockoff availability in this generation. So
that's true. That's
part of it, I think. But I mean, overall, you have, like you said, you have tons of rocks. You have the spikes option. Do you have a grounded poison type? You have Amoonguss.
Yeah, Amoonguss.
Yep.
Sylvally.
True.
Sylvally can be anything.
Insert do you have here? Let's see. Probably, good defog, like you said. Kilowattrel is your only real answer to ground, I guess, barring maybe if you have a Terra, but
That's one of the things that I was worried about was ground types, and that's why I opted for flying on as one of the Bisharp types.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I think that was a good change for sure. And
Mhm.
obviously it resists the quad fighting weakness
Mhm.
as well as.
Originally, I wanted to do Ghost Fairy, but then I'm like, no, I am a little way too weak to ground, and that is one of the things that I think will give me the most trouble. Like ultimately, I think this is a weaker team than my season 3 team. I think that team was just really strong with the top core. I think this is a bit weaker. Like we said, the ground is kind of scary. I also don't have great like fighting switch-ins except for like Corsola and Amoonguss, I guess. And water's also pretty difficult too. My only real water resists are Amoonguss and Palafin, and Amoonguss is weak to ice.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Well, I mean, you say it's better than your season 3 team. Are you going to click any 90% accurate moves this season?
Well, I said it's worse than my season
worse.
3
Sorry,
team.
sorry.
Honestly, I don't see anything. I
That's what I'm
think
saying.
I could end up clicking Hurricane with Kilowattrel if I need the power over Air Slash, which is 95, so it's a little bit better than. I swear I'm gonna miss an Air Slash or something. Also Tyranitar doesn't have any reliable
that's
rock
true,
moves,
that's
so I'm
true,
gonna
that's
have to
true.
click Rock Slide or Stone Edge with that.
Do you play the rain teams?
Um, no,
Neither
I
one.
don't.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Yeah, that's that. A little bit lucky there.
Well,
Well, maybe not lucky,
I was about to
but.
say. I mean, you have Hurricane on a couple of your mons here. So now, granted, Volcrona
I can also.
typically you have Terra when you're like thinking about doing Hurricane in the rain. But I mean,
And Tyranitar can change the weather, although it's not amazing, into the water types.
Yeah, that's always the thing about going against rain with other weathers, like if you're
Yeah, like
against
sun or sand.
ground or fire. Yeah, you know, snow might be able to get away with it, but then again, you're ice.
That is crazy that like rain just has an advantage over every other weather.
It does.
Yeah.
I think the Chomp was a good pickup. Like, I mean, it wasn't like super cheap, but I think you still got a good value out of it. I think it's maybe a little underrated just for the sheer fact it didn't have like it was obviously like dropping your speed to Mega Evolve was not worth back in the day, but it didn't have Scale Shot back in like Gen 6 and 7. So
and even then, like
there's your
some of the
90%
teams.
accurate move.
Oh my god, I'm gonna miss that. Oh no.
Can't wide lens this one.
Yeah, but even then, like I don't even need the speed in some in some matchups. Like if a team is bulky, I can just mega well I can stay the normal form until I need to mega get that power boost. And then if the team is something like well actually I think most of the teams we've seen thus far have been pretty quick. But I think there are some teams that kind of hover around that like 90-ish benchmark past their like 1 or 2 fast mons. And then that's just a lot of damage.
How do you feel about your speed? You kind of brought that up. I see Coatl sitting at 125, and then there's a kind of a drop off down to 100, barring some setup. Right?
And then I mean, Garchomp could also be 102 as well.
102.
That's true. That's true.
Before Mega, I do think my team is a little bit slow. Which is why I got the Kilowatt. I don't have somebody that hits that like 130 or 140 benchmark that I'd like to have. And I also don't get like a free booster energy or anything like that. I do have ways of boosting though, like Quiver Dance. And then I've also got some priority too between like Sucker Punch, Jet Punch, and like Mach Punch from Hitmontop.
There might be that week where you drag a dance on Tyranitar too. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's see.
And your team has swag.
It does.
I do have swag.
You got the swag. Congrats. Anything else you want to add about your team, or should we move on?
I think that's it that I have to say, unless you guys want to say something.
I think it looks good.
I think you covered it pretty well.
All right.
And other than maybe a Amoonguss and Hitmontop, it's aesthetically pleasing. So. All right. Speaking of aesthetics,
I'm glad you didn't say speaking of aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this team has Cursula. That's a cool looking mon. Mega Mawile.
No, there's some cool looking things on here. But you know, Zach is certainly a connoisseur of some oddballs.
Yeah.
Mega Mawile is terrifying. This is my week 1. I was looking at some of the math earlier today. That thing is crazy. So like, even without Sword Dance, you're really gonna have to watch out for that thing. Things are not gonna wait to take hits from it. But it's gonna be easy to chunk down, but it's probably gonna take some things with it. So, I think that's just the general statement for a really strong but slow mon. He does have Trick Room. He's got the Crest. What else sets up Trick Room? Let me change this real quick to Trick Room.
Cofagrigus.
Oh yeah, Cofagrigus.
Oh, I could have sworn Cursula got it as well.
No,
maybe it doesn't.
Not the case. Well, this could be wrong, but
yeah, it didn't actually have Galarian Corsola for Will-O-Wisp, so it could be wrong.
Yeah, maybe so. Okay, maybe the
no, it does not get Trick Room.
That's one thing to watch out. Typically you don't see a lot of Trick Room in singles, but in the case of this team, where it's really slow, like this team is really slow, it's something to watch out for. Celesteela, that was kind of like. It's just a solid mon. It's up there with like Ferrothorn as like a good utility, like bulky mon that you can switch into. Flying
very hard to kill. Yeah.
Two weaknesses. It also has Leech Seed. It can hit with Heavy Slam. There's something key. It's got some weird coverage like Flamethrower.
It does.
So I guess it's a rocket, right? So I guess it makes sense. But the and then you have Zygarde, which could.
It got Meteor Beam in Gen 8.
Be interesting. I don't know if we'll see
or
that.
Or is Meteor Beam a Gen 7 move? I don't know. I think it's Gen 8.
The Zygarde could be a source of speed after a Dragon Dance. Obviously it has like one of the best offensive moves in the game in Thousand Arrows. Just obviously a ground move, and you don't have to worry about missing into an immunity. So really solid there. He doesn't have like a lot in terms of hazard remove. You see only the Tortnager, but then you have Cinderace who could just change like the
that's
hazard.
what I was gonna say. Yeah.
So yeah, that was when I was analyzing the team. I was like, oh, I could just set up hazards for free, and then I went back through the team. I was like, oh no. Wait a minute, I can't do that. So yeah, Cinderace obviously his fastest mon. Court Change is the real big value it brings to this team that doesn't have a lot of ways to clear out hazards. Because you're not going to want to bring Tortnator every week. Let's be real. And then he's got some terrain control with Tapu Bulu. The worst Rillaboom, right? But did this mon get any new tricks that I'm unaware of? It's got. Does it have knock? It does.
No.
Does not have knockoff.
It doesn't get a single like physical fairy move. Big thing though is that it reduces the power of ground type moves, which really help your 2 fire types and your Mega Mawile.
That's true. That's very true.
Or not ground type moves, specifically Earthquake and
Earthquake.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Well, Bulldoze and what's the other one? The Magnitude, I guess, is the other one. But
oh yeah, Magnitude.
Then you have the monstrosity of Levitate Cresselia. You Lunar Blessing to clean up something if you need to. It's got fairy coverage. Does it have Bolt Beam? I think it has Bolt Beam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a fun mon to have to deal with. I guess you could get the Toxic off on it to try to to cripple it a little bit.
But then it's just gonna Lunar Blessing.
It kills itself when it does that. So.
Oh no, the other one. It gets a new one. It's like Life Dew, but it also heals status.
That's only for itself, though, right?
No.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking.
Yeah.
You're talking
doubles,
about the
it doubles. It would do next to you, I guess. But
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Were you talking about Click Toxic with the crest or Click Toxic on the crest?
On the crest.
Yeah, but then it can heal that as well as heal 25% if it wants to do that.
Yeah,
although it probably runs Moonlight.
It's definitely one of those four move slot syndrome mons.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah. But that's always good to have in draft because you get to pick. It's just more options in draft.
The syndrome is not too bad.
More things your opponent has to prep for.
Consider.
Yep. Yep. Then you have Cofagrigus, which I guess was spin blocker. It's got knockoff, but it's not very fast. No, 30. Gosh.
It can set Trick Room. It's one of the Trick Room setters. It's got Toxic Spikes.
Willow, I guess, is the other one. Oh, Toxic Spikes. Okay. Does he have a
Toxic Spikes? That's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, it is.
He also doesn't have a poison type, so if you get up Toxic Spikes, he's gonna.
I think that's one of his Terra types on the Cofagrigus. Okay. Yeah, it is.
So maybe that was his main thought when he picked that thing up. And then obviously
he also made it Terra Fighting, which is probably for body press.
So it's gonna be if you play this team, you obviously want to make sure if the Cinderace is there, which it probably will be. You want to make sure it goes down before you get too crazy with hazards. But obviously, if you don't care about rocks, then do Stealth Rocks. He switches it and just do it again, and then you're set. But Excavalier, I don't know what you do.
It's very hard under Trick Room, but that's kind of it. I
Yeah.
think.
I
I guess it's a.
there's definitely some trick room intent going on here. So
Yeah,
definitely,
I think so.
you definitely bring your taunts against this team. I mean, Cresselia can certainly run Mental Herb, but I mean, then it doesn't have a healing item, so you pick your poison there. You can run if you have extra move slots, just run Protect just to burn turns because the turns
True.
are a lot shorter in singles because you have to switch out of that mon, and 2, you don't have a teammate who's immediately benefiting from it. And then you have Cursula, who's just like a worse version of Glaring Corsola. It does have a crazy attack
It's
stat.
very different. Yeah, it's got that special attack stat. Yeah, it trades
again,
out like all the defense for special attack.
I mean, it'll turn to dust if you poke it the wrong way. So I mean, yeah, definitely, there's definitely a trick room aspect here that seems very like almost the focal point of the team, which I don't agree with for singles per se. So it does worry me for this team. And then what's Tornado? Tornado's like a protect move that like does damage or something. What is it?
Yeah, it's like Beak Blast, I think, where it's like if you hit him. No, it's not like Beak Blast. It's like the opposite of Focus Punch, I think. It's a move where you have to hit him for him to do like a big move or something. Where it's like, I don't know how much base power it is. Let me look it up. It
I'm amazed you
150
guys
base
remembered
power.
that.
Yeah.
I forgot the Tornado existed
Yeah.
until this draft.
If you want to talk to somebody about forgettable mons, Zach would be your guy. He probably could go on.
Weasel Man is the person to go to.
I think Game Freak forgot about this guy. They forgot to put him in the new game.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. Whoops. Oh well. We'll get him in the next one. Terms of weaknesses, this team's not gonna is not gonna like to go up against a Spectrier team. It's gonna like no one
The
has
big thing I
no
saw
one has
is
Dragon
fire.
Bolt, but yeah, fire's huge too.
Yeah.
But nobody has Dragon Bolt, so he's happy about that for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he could like feng shui it, but like adding Dragon Bolt to this team would give him a different kind of speed option, and everybody loves a good. Well, he's already got 2 dragons, but I mean, I guess Zygarde could be part of that trade.
That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking that you don't necessarily need Escavalier because you already have the other 2 steals.
Yeah.
Agreed. Like you could probably get some more variety, maybe another like spinner or defogger, as well as maybe a dark type. I don't know, and it also helps patch up the fire weakness too by just getting rid of Escavalier.
For a team that looks like have a pretty good variety, he's missing a lot of types. Wow.
Yeah, ice and fighting and poison, electric. Wow, electric water is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is missing a lot of types actually. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see. I don't want to be hypercritical of this team because I play it week 1 and then I lose. And then I look like a total dickhead, right? But I am concerned it's a little hyper focused. Anybody have any closing remarks for this team?
I think that's it for what I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. Whose turn is it to take
the
lead here?
Dave.
You want to take Dave?
I have not looked at this team until like with all of the edits until
I'll do it
now.
All right,
so.
go.
All right. So speaking of week 1s, this is my week 1.
Okay. So you have analyzed this team a little bit.
A little bit. I'm not nearly done yet.
Yeah.
Just to start off, we talked earlier about what teams we thought had the 2 best Terra captains. I think this is definitely a contender.
Mm-hmm.
The Glacier and Electrode are both like really good Terra captains. The Glacier is Ice, Fairy, Electric, so you have the Bolt Beam coverage as well as an amazing defensive Terra Fairy. And the Electrode is Grass, Fairy, Water, just 2 great Terra types. Starting off at the top, he's got the Tornadus Therian, which is like really good because you've got Regenerator. It's like one of the best. I don't know if it's one of the best, but it's one of the really good Regenerator mons. It could just come in for free. It got I don't even know if you run Bleakwind in singles, but like it just is a little bit more accurate than Hurricane. But you just click that. If you miss, it doesn't even matter because you're so bulky and you're gonna get all the HP back later. You turn out, come in, remove an item maybe with knockoff. Really hard to remove mon.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Great Tusk, which is honestly great in draft because there's just so much you can do with it. You can boost or speed it. You have to cut all the attack, but if you're going to run a bulk up set, that doesn't matter. Just one of the best hazard removers and setters in the game. Very difficult to kill physically. It does have a little bit low special defense, but an AV Torn can help patch that up. Then the Greninja, I played this one last season or in season 3 as well. It's a nightmare with Battle Bond. Because typically if you have a sweeper like this, you could maybe like sack one of your low HP guys to it, then bring in something with either priority or something faster and revenge kill it. You kind of need priority to kill this mon if you want to sack to it, because it's going to get that +1 special attack, +1 speed when it gets a KO. You can't just bring in, like, for example, my Kilowattrel is a little bit faster than it. It's not a reliable check because if he gets a kill with this Greninja, then that doesn't kill it anymore because he'll be faster than me. Next up, we got Glimora, just one of the most annoying leads in the game with Toxic Debris, and I think it gets regular spikes and toxic spikes. It's probably going to get a couple layers up if it's sashed. Generally very annoying.
Notably, does not have to be a hazard setter, though.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, but it can be, yeah.
You can do all of them.
Yeah. It's also got Meteor Beam. Yeah, AV. No, you can also do Meteor Beam or or the AV set if you want to be a little cheeky with that. Ogerpon Hearthflame is one that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm generally not a huge fan of fire types that can't wear boots. But I know Dave ran it in season 3. I think he did say that it was one of the weaker members of the team.
He didn't like it in season 3, as a matter of fact. But what I will say is he's got Glimora, Great Tusk, and Tornadus, like 3 fantastic hazard removers.
Great
so
removal.
He's got the support for it.
I think if he was there for the draft, I think he probably would have ended up with a different fire type. But he kind of just had to pick with what was left over.
Did he get this during the? I don't think he had it during the main draft. I think he came back for this.
No. I was saying because I think all the good fire types are taken.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So he just grabbed, like, just skimming through. I don't see, like, there's Mega Charizard X, but that has the same problem. Actually, even worse because it's fire flying to start with. I'm not seeing many fire types. There's Infernape, I guess, but that's like that. Infernape is the highest fire type that isn't Charizard X. So there weren't that many fire type choices left.
Well, I bet he passed up on swag. Look at this. There's no swag.
Yeah, that's
no
true.
Swag.
Swagless.
Tinkaton is just a solid mon, great typing.
Woohoo!
He has a Sticky Web option with the Araquanid, and he also, I was gonna say he needed a water, but he's got Greninja. It gives him some bulk though, a bulky water on the special side. And then Greedent is just like an okay mon for 1 point. I think it can do like Belly Drum Statberry.
It's I hate looking at Greedent.
I think he's got very good Terra Captains, and I think that Glacier and Araquanid pair pretty well together, where it's really hard to have a fast mon that can take out both of them. Because you
also,
generally want to...
You want to click Will-O-Wisp into stuff like Glastrier and the Great Tusk and stuff, but then Araquanid just soaks it right up.
If you're Weasel Man, you don't click the Trick Room button against this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, 20 speed, 30 speed. That's real Trick Room.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's not talk about one of those is Greedent. Calm down. But I mean, 42 on the spider was what I was going for more there, but let's see.
20 speed Greedent.
He's got pretty good type coverage in terms of stabs. Just missing Ghost Dragon and Psychic, which
is crazy because I guess that's probably why he's missing Ghost Dragon, because he started with the Dragapult and then dropped it. That's true. And then he just never replaced those 2 types.
I think that was a lot of people were in disbelief that 1, he dropped it, and 2, nobody picked it back up during the grace period. I think he did balance out a lot of good pickups though. So I mean, I can see it.
It's a very balanced team, I think.
Well, I love balance. I think balance is definitely the best way to play draft. I think if you want to have weather or something like that, it should be an option, not like your main focal point. I think focal points are bad.
Agree.
But let's see. We got tons of hazards, no problems there. Removal, again, we have 3 of the best options in the game for removal. Great Terra Captains, a lot of switch initiative, lots of knockoff. Not so much in terms of clerics, which is fine. I
think that's one of the things he said. I think he wished that he had Wish, but he couldn't quite fit it. Because Glastrier would love Wish.
He does have at least regen on Torn, but otherwise his team could get worn down maybe a little bit. There's not like a lot of crazy like bulky mons that have like good healing. And then let's see, you got a couple of T-Waves, no Willows, no Tricks. In terms of weaknesses, what do we have here? Fire, maybe. me see
The fire is also counting both Terra captains too, though.
That's true.
Which are both going to Terra out of that weakness, or one of whichever one comes.
That's true. In his first 5 mons, which are the high value picks here, are only none of them are weak to fire. So yeah, not really a huge issue. Same thing for fighting. And let's see, flying
a little bit because it hits 3 mons that can't Terra.
He's got 2 like reasonable mons that he can bring every week. That can kind of countermeasure that a little bit. And then let's see, rock type moves. Again, he's got 2 consistent mons he can bring to kind of counteract that. And 2 of them are lower tiered mons. So overall, the weaknesses don't look too bad. Speed, great speed tiering. I mean, 150, 122, 121, 110. So I mean, you definitely gonna have to use full IVs to cover a lot of speeds, tiers, whatever you call them.
No, you can't even cover the electrode either. You'd have to go scarf to get faster than that.
Maybe a little weak on the special attacking side, other than the Glim.
The Greninja.
Yeah, that's true. And Greninja's gonna always have stab and everything, so yeah, that's true. Well, not always.
Oh wow, I didn't even realize Greninja was only 103. Yeah.
Well, and you don't typically feel it because of Protein. But if he's Battle Bond, he obviously won't have that. But then he'll get the +1, which is just better. But until you switch out, I guess. Yeah, I mean, overall, very good team. Might get worn down a little bit. Depends how well you can utilize that Tornadus.
Looks really good, but unfortunately, Swagless and Greedent.
Yeah.
Swagless plus Greedent.
All right. Let's see. Oh, it is.
Next up we got you.
Yeah. So, y'all led the conversation on your own, so I'll lead the conversation on mine, and then I'll let y'all pick it apart. So going into this, I had the 10th seed, so I didn't have high expectations to get a 19-pointer. So I wanted to try out dancing. Season 3, I got spoiled by having the high accurate rock move and IV cudgel on my Ogre Pond. So I was like, Diamond Sword 95% accurate. I get a 50% chance to get a 2 defense, boost. Which, to be honest, I didn't even know it was 2 stages until a couple of days ago. They changed that in Gen 7. But yeah, I mean, 160, fantastic, and you can afford not to Terra, initially if you want to have the extra bulk to do something. So she can do spikes or rocks if she really needed to. I mean, that's not going to always be her role, but if she needs to do it, she can do it. And then I immediately picked up Zapdos. So my rounds 2 and 3, I think. Okay, so under the covers, I was worried about the Slow King, Slow Bro line disappearing, and only one of them disappeared by the time he got back to me. So I was like, all right, I can stall out on that. So I was like, I'll get Zapdos and Ferrothorn first. And I thought maybe more people would want Zapdos. Boy, was I wrong. But anyways, I got Zapdos. It resists. It's a switch in for her, so it's Steel, Ground, and Grass. And then Ferrothorn would have been Steel, Water, and Grass. So they both been like good pivots for her. But Zapdos is fantastic for the aforementioned reasons. It's got initiative. It can clear and clean up hazards. It's got static for catching the switch-ins, which is really cool. This is just a solid mon. No one's going to debate Zapdos, I don't think. And then I picked up, I think, Blaziken in round 3 because Ferrothorn was gone. But I thought Blaziken would be a fun mon that I could slow pivot in with, like, Slow King. You get a free speed boost, and you're going to get another speed boost immediately after that. It's just a strong, it could be mixed, so it gives me like either physical or special depending on what I need that week. I got knockoff, which I don't even think I knew at the time, which is really cool. I like having extra access to knockoff. And then let's see, I got the Slow King. I think I got that maybe a little bit later. Actually, I may have grabbed Flygon first, which is one of the ones I've been actually looking to trade, ironically enough. But again, my game plan changed. I've had trades since then, so Flygon made more sense initially. I do think it's a good Terra Captain. But it's like I picked up.
You got Slow King in round 7.
Yeah, no one was picking them up. No, like that literally was the might have been the only other slow boy to be picked up outside the one that can't have the slow initiative, which eventually got put back in there. But the I just had all day, and then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I do really want the Slow King. The round I picked it up, I was like, I don't want to wait anymore because I did think about the fact that Zapdos for coverage does have Weather Ball, so like having an ice option on Electric type, great, fantastic, great. So I grabbed that, and also one of the funny mons I wanted to pick up was Arctovish, because again, You get the benefit of the snow, which again, it's an option. It's not something I have to do. So if I want to play around the snow, unfortunately I don't play the snow team on my schedule, but the fast vicious wind, vicious rend is great. It's also a water absorb mon. If I play against both rain teams, so that might be something I want to bring for those. I think he's a cool dude. He definitely hits super hard. I learned that from the bolt beak I had in the first time I played draft with Dracozolt. So certainly just have to mitigate the speed, and he can hit like a truck. It does have freeze drive. We talked about that earlier, and it's got a respectable 80's enough with freeze drive for a quad effective hit to be doing some damage.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up Vileplume late in the game. I didn't. Again, my grass type of choice. So I guess I talk about Skarmory and Vileplume here because my grass type of choice was the Ferrothorn. So I went back up to. I guess I had Lurantis for a little while there, but I'm not a true believer in Lurantis as much as I love Lurantis from a design point of view. But Vileplume's a mon I use a lot in Gen 6. It's gotten a lot of things since then, like Strength Sap, which make it even more of a menace. It's got Effect Spore, so you can just switch in and just cause havoc just by existing. It's my way of cleaning up toxic spikes. So in general, a lot of utility, a good defensive pivot in my opinion. And speaking of good defensive pivots, my steel type that I ended up with was Skarmory. Again, a mon I used a lot in Gen 6 for a pivot. And I think still well known to this day that this mon can just come in and not take damage from a physical hit.
Yep.
It can set up hazards. If I'm not interested in hazards, I guess it can defog the hazards, but I don't know what much he's doing if that's the case. But I mean that is the big,
Iron Defense Body Press, I guess.
I didn't. Yeah, Body Press is great. I mean, sure, if your opponent's like fully defensive, just click the Iron Defense button and go to town. But the between it and Corviknight, I did not realize in trade it either the Corviknight doesn't get any hazards. So that the other thing I like about Skarmory is it's hard to set up on because it has Whirlwind. I think that's very valuable for a mon that's sitting there doing utility things. You don't want something to come in and like, oh, I have done goofed by being passive in my moment of weakness. But no, I think Skarmory's great. Let's see. Roaring Moon. I after the draft, I looked back. I was like, I really would like maybe a little bit more power, and maybe a little bit more speed. I had Hisuian Zorak, which I had in season 1 as well, as opposed to Roaring Moon. But it was only base 110. It's most of the time going to be either a choice or a focus sash, and I was like, I really want well, first off, I didn't have a dark type to cover it either. I was like, I would feel more comfortable picking up something more powerful and faster. So I looked at the Dragapult that was put in the pool. I couldn't really fit it. I didn't like that its shared weakness was Soaking. So I opted for the Roaring Moon. The dark typing is really good to have. I usually struggle to get a dark type. I had the Drapion actually for a little bit, but as my team adjusted to not getting Ferrothorn, and I picked up Vileplume that could also absorb the spikes, I realized I don't really need Drapion to do anything. I don't need the extra ground weakness of which I had Diancie, Blaziken, and Drapion at the time. So it felt better just to just get rid of it. So yeah, again, Roaring Moon, my dark type, good mon. Way better than it was when I had it in season 1 because it now has knockoff, which just sets it I would say 30% better already. Before it was I clicked crunch and you switched out. Now it's I hit knockoff and you switched out. At least you lost something when you took that damage. And then again, Terra Captain's Flygon has Levitate. I think I have Steel on it, which is great with Levitate. I also have Fire, which again is also good with Levitate, but it also resists. It's also a different Terra type that resists Fairy. So if someone has a strong Fire team and I still want it, if I still feel like Flygon's going to come, I have a different option there. Again, Flygon not as valuable now that I have Roaring Moon, but it's still a solid Terra Captain. I'm still trying to get Torterra off Ty since he's not making it a Terra Captain himself. I feel like I could with Terra I could certainly utilize it well. And the only one I didn't talk about was Gyarados. Again, in terms of this draft where we were locked into perfectly 10 mons, you can't have in the past we had 10 to 12, right? Not as much trading flexibility, so I wanted to grab a 1-pointer in case I wanted to swing pick something else. I have 1 point remaining, so if I want to pick an 8-pointer for Flygon, for example, I can do that without having to worry or even I guess that was my point. But Gyarados also does give me the option if my opponent that week doesn't have good hazard removal, and I really think there's value in webs and spikes. It's all packaged into a 1-point mon, so I think that's good value for 1 points. Again, hazards, I have rocks, I have spikes, and toxic spikes not as readily available, but again, if the situation arises. I have no rapid spinner, which I do think is a weakness of my team, but I do have plenty of ways to defog. Blaziken, a surprising option that, again, I didn't know when I drafted it.
It's a bird.
Plenty of switch initiative. I have a couple sources of knockoff. I have 2 clerics, which is great. I thought I had more taunt than that, but I guess I only had a couple of taunters. And then I have some good status mons. I'm not counting Slowbro as a trick mon because I'm probably not going to put a choice item on it and trick away. Yeah, that's my overall long-winded description of my team. Now it's y'all's turn to tear it apart.
Ultimately, I am very glad you went with the Roaring Moon over the Dragapult. I remember you were having some deliberation over that. You're trying to change your whole team around. I think Roaring Moon definitely fits more with your play style than the Pult would. The Pult would lean more towards maybe not hyper offense, but sort of not like
aggressive plays as opposed to
whereas
defensive.
Yeah, the Moon
pivots,
I remember you said that you were always worried about bringing Moon when you had it in, I think, Season 1.
Yep.
But I mean, I feel like with Roost, and it's got pretty good natural bulk, and you've got a regen mon again. I think you could even just bring it just as a defensive pivot. You don't even need to use booster energy. You can, but you don't need to.
Yep, I've done that in Season 1. I brought it against like Chi-Yu. I specifically built it to counter Chi-Yu, and so I mean, there definitely are times and places for it to be like just a like you said, defensive pivot.
Yeah, it's got U-turn. It's a solid mon. Yeah, like you said with the low tiers, you were kind of struggling to figure out. I think one consideration would be to have gotten a rapid spinner, like you said, but I think Ariados does just give you more options of hazards that your opponent has to worry about. I don't know if you were going to bring it at all, if very often, but like boosting up Diance's like 110 speed to like, you know, or assisting that with a sticky web is pretty nice too for some of the really fast teams. Or even just having Ariados on the team if it doesn't come. You know, maybe it'll make something like Dave's Electrode wear boots when it may not have otherwise. I think it probably would regardless, but maybe the Greninja has to wear boots. I don't know. It's something interesting to consider.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you, and the Flygon is probably the weakest member of the team. I don't really see like a lot of reasons to bring it. But I think that overall, I really like your team. I do like that you recreated the Ferrothorn in the aggregate. I think that was kind of fun.
I technically have the Slowking Roaring Moon combo from Season 1, just in a different flavor of Slowkings here.
That's true.
I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I don't remember now. What do you think about weaknesses? What do you think I'm going to have to really look out for this season?
Well, much like it seems like most of the teams, that little space above the rock has been red. It feels like everyone.
It's hard when it dodge.
Robbie Rock is very good offensively.
Now, again, luckily, 2 of those are Arctivish and
yes, and Ariados.
So it's not that bad, but I don't have a lot of switch-ins to it. Is your point? But...
Yeah. And I think that you also will have to worry about freeze dry, because Slowking is one of the best answers for ice types against
particularly Bundle.
And
I had the correct Slowking last time. I do not have the one that can switch into Bundle this time. You were very true. That is very right. Do we play? I think we do, don't we?
I don't remember.
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
If we don't, that's great.
No, you don't.
Lucky you.
Yeah. No, I think that's.
You do not have to worry about freeze dry from Bundle.
I was very worried about Bundle when I was like, we bring this mod back. I'm like, man, do I really want to have to? Does anybody really want to have to deal with Bundle? But yeah.
You also don't play Kyurem, so.
Oh dang! You dodged both freeze dryers.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true, and I mean that's a good point. Neither Vileplume or Slowking really want to switch. Well, and I guess Vileplume can be special. She's got mixed bulk, but I've run her physical pass mostly in regards to the effects for. But that's a good point. In terms of my defensive pivots, I have Zapdos, I have Slowking, and Vileplume. All don't want to take a nice move or a freeze dry, I should say. And Skarmory's physical, so yeah, that's a fair point. I did dodge the freeze dries.
Yeah, and one thing that you did mention is that your Slowking and Skarmory both are weak to
That was something.
the electric
Yep,
moves.
yep. That was one of the reasons why I wanted Ferrothorn. I do not like that. And granted, I have a lot of variety for my physical pivot or my defensive pivots, but that is something I didn't like. Was that if I have Slowking and Skarmory on the same team, it's probably because my opponent doesn't have a lot of electric options.
And like Zapdos doesn't resist that. I think that's another reason I think the Roaring Moon is really nice just to have because that does resist the electric, which is pretty good. And you can even though it likes to go offensive, it can be a defensive pivot with Roosted U-turn and it gets knockoff. That's like you said, it'll just remove an item even if it doesn't hit something for a lot of damage.
Yep. No,
very strong.
He's got some flexibility, and he's my base fastest mon. Now, granted, that doesn't last very long with Blaziken. I do have some hidden speed in the stat board. But yeah. All right.
I think that's all I had to say.
Yeah. Oh, and we got the important swag round 1. So we're going.
Oh yeah, of course.
Check
yes.
It off.
You definitely have swag.
All right. Let's see.
Next up, Chilla.
Who wants to lead this one?
I can.
All right.
I want to talk about how much better this team got.
It did.
in the rebuild, the grace period.
Yeah.
Because when I was looking ahead of time today, I was like pretty ready to like tear this one apart, and I said, "Wait, they changed. There lots of change. This actually looks like a real team."
I remember Colin messaged me during the draft. It was around round 3, and Colin's like, "I don't think I've ever seen a worse first 3 picks than Chilla's first 3 picks this season."
Well, it was Ninetales and Primarina, which are 2 fairies. Good mons.
Glaceon was the
sure.
one there.
The third one. Yeah.
That mon was not threatened in round 3. So
you did not need it that early.
I do like that he picked up the Tinglu. I think that was good.
Needed hazards for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's the only hazards on the whole team.
Needed hazards.
Yeah, needed hazards. No, I think that these are just a lot of mons that I like. So I am more inclined to like the team. Chandelure, Primarina, Absol, even though I don't love the Mega version, but regular Absol. I do love Glaceon, and Cortana I think is great. Cortana is goated.
You didn't mention one of my favorites, which is Galarian Zapdos. I love that mon. I would definitely draft again. What do you hate? You don't like the design, or you don't like the functionality of it?
I don't like the play style.
It's got good offensive typings. It hits hard. It has switch initiative, and now it has knockoff, which you didn't have before. I think it's just
if it had more than 100 speed, I would like it. It feels like it's a mon that has to be scarfed to me.
I did scarf it a lot when I had it, so I'll give you that.
I said that, and I like Staraptor, so I can't really. I don't have no reason for this, but
it's also the color.
The Chad Staraptor versus the Virgin Zapdos Galar. What can I say?
I might be biased because it's like the exact same color as my car. So.
No, I like this team, except for Sigilyph. I think that mon is ugly, but everything else I like.
Points of Sigilyph. Because you could, well, I guess I was going to say you could swap Sigilyph for Xatu and get Magic Bounce, but you got Absol for Magic Bounce, because this team does not like Hazards up. Like, you've got the Chandelure, you got all the, well, I guess, I was going to say all your Ice types, but he has started with like 4 or 5 Ice types, and now it's down to just 2, so that's actually way better.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I like Colin said, I think this team got a lot better after the changes.
It's definitely the offshoot of the Tropic Thunder meme, never go full snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does have 3 points remaining, which was the big question mark to me. I was like, I feel like that's a lot of valuable points that you could have like boosted one of your categories here.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
it's
interesting.
The most left over.
Also, I think that I like convinced myself that Mega Absol is part fairy. And I wish now realizing it's
cool.
not.
That would have been cool. It does, I think it has play rough, so I've been really cool for it.
It does get play rough.
It does.
Mega Absol is definitely one of the more unfortunate megas. It's got speed and it can hit hard, I guess, but
it's really just a problem of it coming off of base Absol, which is very bad, and the 100 points can only go so far.
Mm-hmm.
And they put its stats into special attack instead of the defenses.
It's pretty much like your mega glass cannon, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
literally.
But swag.
Yes, very.
But it does have swag.
It is his fastest mon too.
What are we missing on this team? I feel like Cartana's not gonna want to be the one to have to click defog, but you're also not gonna want to bring Sigilyph every week, so that might hazard removal might be a problem for this team.
Yeah, I think you would want a spinner or something.
Yeah.
Although maybe you just get Mega Absol evolved and then try and reflect back the hazards.
I'm just saying, well, that's true. But I also don't think you want to bring Mega Absol every week either. But
yeah, it's true.
Cartana is like, you want to like kill things and get beast boost. You don't want to be like defogging. I mean, I guess if you have to. But, let's see. We have.
It's easy enough to tech it onto the moveset, but you're going to be hard pressed to find a position where you'd rather click defog than an attack.
I will say once again that little space above the rock icon, once again glowing red.
It's hard. It's a hard one to dodge, man. But again,
especially with 2 ice types.
Yeah, 2 ice types is really where that comes into play. And there's the Sigilyph, and I guess
it's there for fire too, actually.
Yeah,
although the Chandelure helps the fire.
You don't really want to have to boots your Chandelure, but I mean, if the rocks are threatened, you definitely won't be taking chip every time it comes in. So I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag there, but. Plenty of switch initiative. Got some clerics. I think Glaceon's a pretty decent cleric, especially with Terra. Maybe not the West Wish Pastor because I don't think she has HP now. She's got 65. Got some time. Definitely has some status, which is nice. And then Shandy can be a good trick user. So that's nice. Speed tiers.
A little bit lacking in the switch or the momentum department, like the U-turn.
Oh,
switch.
I read that wrong. I looked at knockoff as the U-turn category. I take back what I said earlier. He's only got 2. I saw the 4 there. I thought they were all U-turn mons. Wow, Cartana with U-turn would be kind of crazy.
Wait, Tinglu doesn't get parting shot. I was gonna say, does Tinglu get parting shot? But that would be like way too good if it did.
I doubt it. I will.
It does. It does not.
I'll type it in.
No, yeah, that one's not.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Thank you for calling me out on that. There's definitely a little bit of lacking the switch initiative, and I was about to say, he's got some fast mons here, and I guess boost you can start gaining some speed, but
you have to go timid to do that though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of mons here want Scarf too. Like you have Zapdos.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
Shandy.
The big thing though is that you have like your fastest mon can't wear a scarf, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, well,
like your fastest one is Mega Absol at 115, and it can't be scarfed.
Though, so let's be real here. That thing's purely there for swag. Let's see. We got what do we need here? Defensively, you got Tinglu you can switch into. We do have. I don't know. I mean, chipping you're gonna get chipped down a little bit here, but what does he have for healing?
Not much.
Yeah, so it could get worn down the match. So he's probably going to be hyper offense with this. So getting those rocks up early and just kind of trying to click the big red button, but even then I don't know if the button's big enough
or red enough.
Yeah, or red enough. Let's see, doesn't really have a check to flying type damage.
He has a check to flying types with his ice types.
Well, yeah,
but yeah, it doesn't take the hits very well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. What are the big damaging flying moves that are coming at you? I mean, he does have the Brave Bird Zapdos here, so who else is hitting you with a big flying move? But
there's plenty of Brave Bird guys.
Yeah,
but were they drafted is the question.
I don't think so. Yeah. Actually, you're right. There's not many Brave Birds out there.
Yeah, fire.
All the birds are wimpy.
The fire weaknesses are certainly a problem here too. I mean, I guess he's got immunity and he's got a very thick water type, so I guess that helps.
He does play MSU Chi-Yu, so yeah, the fire type is going to be a problem.
Yeah. What else?
Oh, week 1 he actually plays the other snow team, so that'll be fun.
That's funny.
Oh wow.
The week 1 snow matchup.
That is interesting. Huh. That's good. That's probably going to help. That's certainly help out Toma. Yeah, because you don't have to worry about doing the chilly reception to keep your snow going.
Although the dual fairies is going to be a problem for Kiram.
That's true.
I think
that's true. And then I guess your Zapdos is faster than Kiram, so maybe you don't have to run Scarf. But yeah, you got the close combat there, so there's some Kiram checks for sure. But overall, like you said, Colin, this team got a lot better than it was. So I think other than getting worn down pretty, maybe over time, it looks pretty serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
Any
I think we're ready to go next.
Yeah, I was going to say for closing comments. Any thoughts on the Terra Captain choices there?
He didn't have much of a choice, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, could he have done anything else? I guess the Sigalith, but
yeah.
I like Palmot. I love Terra Captains that get to make use of like one of the types that they're forced into, like Colin's Mousehold.
Mm-hmm.
Palmot's really cool as a Terra Electric because you can just spam the double shock.
That's true.
Fairy fighting. Oh, he did pick the other one though with fighting as well, but Fairy's good. And then I'm a big Glaceon fan, so making it usable by changing it out of its ice typing is always good.
I'm glad this whole Discord. I feel like this whole Discord's a Glaceon fan, and I'm all here for it. Glaceon loves it.
I do like Glaceon.
Yeah.
And I love that he picked Shiny Glaceon. I love Shiny Glaceon, and it's like one of the underrepresented ones where it's like because it's very similar, but I feel like it's just like that's what Glaceon should have looked like.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think it's again another victim of the 3D models washing out a lot of colors because it was much darker. Before. All right. Smeargles.
Got some more weather coming up.
I think it's Connex's turn to lead the. Oh, that's just perfect.
What a coincidence!
Is perfect time for you because hey, it's your season 4 team.
It is my season 4
so
team.
Go ahead.
In singles this time, but I mean, surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, it works. I think all the mons just are good. Archaludon was like incredible in season 3 in singles. It did really well on the rain team that Boko's used in that season. Unfortunately, the big thing that Sync didn't get that he wanted was the Pelipper. He had to get the Politoed instead, which I think is probably a much worse in singles than it is in doubles, because in doubles at least you get like Encore. You can still do Encore, but Parasong's a big one in doubles that you can't really make good use of in singles. He got the Basculegion, obviously. It's just a great swift swimmer, and in this league, you get both of them, so he can go physical or special, and it's got like really good abilities where it can do swift swimmer or adaptability depending on your opponent's speed tiers. And Mold Breaker too. I didn't actually know it had Mold Breaker until I used it against Colin. It never came up, but I could hit his Toxicroak with water moves, which neither of us were expecting, but going into that matchup. Then the big thing that makes this my team is that he actually got the Florges, which is like not an obvious choice for Rain, but then it just is there. I'm pretty sure that it's really just there for Wish, because Archaludon cannot heal itself. Healing's much more valuable in singles, and it provides Wish for Archaludon to heal it up. Overqwell I'm a big fan of, especially as a Terra Captain. It's a non-water type swift swimmer, which is cool because you can kind of stack a couple swift swimmers without adding too much to your grass and electric weaknesses. And then there's an elephant in the room. There's the swagged out Mega Swampert that was not there because I didn't have the choice of Mega Swampert in season 4. But it's a great pick. It's just so strong, and it's so fast under the rain. I feel like this team is going to be very difficult to play against.
I agree. I'm afraid of this one.
Yeah, I guess I could finish out talking about the last guys I didn't. Moltres is I'm a big fan of Moltres. It was my diet Coke for Volcarona if I didn't get it. It's basically the way I thought about it was like it's Volcarona. It's a little bit physically bulkier and just can't Quiver Dance because it still gets like a lot of the same utility with Defog, Flame Body. It's defensive Volcarona, kind of. Yeah, it's got some fun tools back, like Scorching Sands and Mystical Fire and stuff like that. Raiku's fun because you got the electric moves. It gets Scald. Also Extreme Speed, but I don't know how good that's going to be on a special attacker, but it's always good to break a sash or something.
Yeah.
Defiant Ogerpon means that you're going to not particularly... Well, you have to be careful when you go for your defog against this team. And he does have he's got a lot of hazards. Stealth Rocks on 3 guys, Spikes on 2, and Toxic Spikes on 1. Using defog, you could always accidentally power up that Ogerpon. And then the last one, Claydol, I think he probably just wanted a Rapid Spinner, if I had to guess, because that's kind of the big thing that Claydol's known for. We'll see.
Right, I like this team a lot more than the other Rain team, just because of, like, the Overquill alone, just being able to diversify the types is really nice. And also, Mega Swampert is great because it doesn't keep the electric weakness that a lot of Swift Swimmers have, and it's immune even. So, I like this team a lot. I do think that the defiant / competitive mons to disincentivize defog is a little bit of cope. I think that everyone is saying, like, people have said that a lot, and every time, like, that's not going to stop me from clicking defog.
It's also probably
like, I'm still going to get rid of your hazards.
Well, conversely, a lot of the defoggers are flying types, so like, you want to play that game?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I mean, I think I don't know if you touched on it, but I mean, the Polytoad's a Terra Captain, which is kind of cool for your.
Oh, true. I did not touch on that
for your Drizzlemon. So we'll see what he can do with that. I think.
How did he tear both of these?
I don't know.
Wait, is that too many points?
I don't think it
That's
was.
too many points.
Is it?
8 and 7.
Oh my
right.
god!
How did we let that
he
go?
cheated.
Well, I guess shame on me for not catching it, but well, I definitely have to bring that up. I wonder, what do you think he'll take the Terra from? Is the question.
It's probably going to be. Yeah,
Even
it's probably going to
Claydol.
be Overquill Claydol.
Because you get the liquidation,
Which is much
Terra Walker.
worse.
Yeah.
Or just one Terra Captain. It's up to him.
Well, you might as well throw. Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, man, I can't believe I didn't notice that, or anybody up until this point didn't notice it.
Good thing we did notice it. Otherwise, he would have gone into week 1 with a
yeah.
cheated team.
I guess he gets a little extra grace period here because we got to get that fixed. Yeah, I'll be sure to. Actually, I'll go ahead and add him now. We can talk about it when he responds. Terra Captains at sync.
New problem child
what
unlocked.
have you done? My problem child. All right, we'll see what he comes.
At least he's not in France.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh man. I said this team's terrifying to me. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a good team, but some of that's probably PTSD from having to play this team twice last season and lose to it. So yeah, we'll see. It is nice that Arcalodon's by himself on the field, but we saw from season 3 that thing's just.
Yeah,
they had no
very
business
good.
being scored as low as it was, let alone maybe even being legal. But obviously, Natdex there's a lot more broken things. But yeah, no, very. I think what I'll say about the rain teams, I think they're both pretty good. I think this one just has higher highs in like Arcalodon and Swampert.
I think this one is more balanced now. It's got like a nice variety of types. Like look at the type matchups at the bottom. There's only one thing that's like flashing red. And it's Ghost, and Basculegion hits that right back, you know. And also that's factoring in
Dragapult's not on a team
Yeah.
right now, so
yeah. And it's also factoring in Claydol, who probably never comes. And you have the Overquill's a great switch for that, and then Basculegion is chances are faster than whatever Ghost is threatening it and is threatening it back. Well, actually, no. It would have to be female Basculegion because Last Respect's is banned.
Yeah.
And I don't think it gets Poltergeist or anything like that.
And the other thing to note here is, and it kind of goes without saying, is speed tiers are incredible because not only do you have some good speed in Urgapon and Raikou, but you also have 3 Swift Swimmers. So like this team is just scary fast.
Oh yeah.
In terms of weaknesses, like I don't know, like he's got Florges is a pretty good tank. It's got the healing. Like
Archaludon is just so good on rain because it's like quad resist for grass and resistant to electric. It's very good.
It's just it's a good team.
I will say if rain does go down, this team. I mean, it goes for most weather teams, but like, I think it happens to rain especially bad because even though they have the good matchup on the other weathers, because rain is so good, you kind of want to dedicate your whole team around it. So if you can't get that off, then it does get worse. Whereas
go ahead.
I do think
whereas
that
like sun or snow, I think. Whereas like sun or snow or sand are a little less all encompassing. So that's just a thought.
I think the biggest thing, like this team has one bottleneck, I think, and it's that you always have to go through Polytoad. You don't always have to, but most of the time you're going through Polytoad to get the rain up. And Polytoad just doesn't. I mean, maybe it gets like Baton Pass actually. Let me check that real quick. I could
type that out here for you. Let's see, Baton Pass. Oops, Baton Pass. No.
Florges Baton Pass is pretty fun though because you can slow pass a wish. Yeah,
that's very good.
But like with Pelipper, you can U-turn, right? But Polytoad doesn't. Also, Pelipper gets Roost, which is, it's not the bulkiest thing, but Roost helps a lot. Polytoad is going to get worn down. It doesn't heal itself. And also you have to just switch, and then something else is taking a hit. Polytoad can't probably it's okay. It's decently bulky, but having to go through Politoed to get your rain up is a little bit of a bottleneck for this team.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's not even like it's not even horrible. It's just that everything else is so good. You'd rather be doing anything else with your turns.
Yes, if people have a reliable way of switching it and forcing the Politoed to come in, you can whittle it down. I actually did think there's a funny Flygon replacement for the time being, grabbing Sandaconda, making it a Terra Captain, and just like I can switch into Sandaconda and it just gets like popped. And like if it's like Terra Grass, it's not really taking much damage, and like I'm just changing the weather. And like even though Sandaconda's not great, just the value of like being able to immediately turn it off between him and Slowking is just really funny. But
that's one thing that I told Colin about for his season 1 team when he had both Slowking and Hippo. Because at first you're like, oh, you don't really want to do 2 weathers, but it's also cool because every time you reset your own weather, you reset the number of turns. So like you get because like if you chilly reception on the last turn of snow, you don't get snow again. But by changing it to sand and then doing that again, you have refreshed all of your turns, which is pretty cool.
You chilly reception, put up the snow, and bringing it out on, and it's already back up, right? So yeah, it's very cool. No, good team. We'll stay tuned for the Terra Captains.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
All right.
Next we got Trey.
Yeah, he's
You can take this one, Colin.
All right. So with Trey and I discussed this a lot before the draft. Basically the thought process going in. Blacephalon is really funny. That's where the thought process ended as well. So basically, this is just a lot of the mons that we thought were pretty good for the points. A lot of good value mons, and then Eiscue. Megalopunny we thought was crazy good. Scrappy is an incredible ability for, and so that was a big priority. And then Blacephalon, it is kind of like a tactical nuke. Where we'll just explode things.
No pursuit.
No pursuit.
Yeah.
You can just switch it out for free. I do think he is actually looking like shopping around King Gambit.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is like he has pretty bad hazards. Because we just kind of assumed Corviknight got them. And it does not.
Also, like, Fezandipity might be able to get Toxic Spikes, but no, it doesn't. Looks like it might be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spathra was, like, kind of a last-minute thing that we'd kind of been discussing beforehand, and then just kind of put it off the table, and then when it came time, and it's like, oh, we got the points for it. And I think Spathra is just really, really versatile.
That's exactly how I ended up with a spot threat in Season 3. I'm like, oh, I've got, like, 15 points left over? Sure.
Yeah, we were. Rotom is obviously really good. You used it in Season 1 to win, Patrick, and he does not have, or he has a offensive Fire, Water, Grass core, but not really defensive because Blacephalon isn't really taking hits.
Right.
But I think Rotom on its own is just really good, like defensive, like pivot, and like it's weird typing, so it's hard to hit.
There's no such thing as a bad Rotom because the good ones are good and the bad ones are Terra Captains. So I guess
true.
I guess you could say
Rotom. Base form.
Yeah, but I mean, like, generally speaking, there's no bad Rotom. Always a good plus to have on the team. You mentioned the King Gambit spot. One of the things he noticed, and I brought this up earlier, is Corviknight doesn't have hazards, and so Gambit being like your hazard setter, and he already having a Steel type, yeah, he could look to get a different hazard setter. I know we brought up Hisui and Samurai.
Well, there's one incredible hazard setter, of course, in Rampardos, but
well, yeah, true. Well, I'm not talking about Uber's mons right now, but I did bring up Hisui and Samurai as an option. I know Conix kind of like it gives you an eye twitch at that, but I mean that is so I guess it keeps his dark type. He gets some quote unquote reliable hazard setting.
"Quote unquote" reliable.
Well, you did miss a 90% move pretty frequently, but I would have been wide lens probably the rest of the season after a couple of those. But
I needed the scarf like a lot of the time.
Did you need it more than missing? Is the question.
No. Well, I did almost 6-0 Bocos with weakness policy. That was the first time I hit one, by the way.
Oh, but you didn't 6-0 because you missed one.
You're correct. I failed killing the Pelipper because I had 2 opportunities to hit it and I missed one of them.
Oh man. Let's see. Weaknesses. He's got a lot of ground immunity, so that doesn't look too bad. Fighting, he's got. I mean, the Gambit potentially is going to go away, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
He's got a quad resistant and immunity, which is good.
Yeah,
for fighting.
Honestly, the weaknesses aren't looking too bad. He's only missing like 2 stabs. Ground is a decently big one to be missing.
But double immunity.
So.
Oh, you're talking about stab,
I'm talking about stab, yeah. I'm also missing it. But I mean, we look at all these sheets, right? And it's like, oh, these people, like everybody has like a rock weakness, and like all these teams don't have like a good stab rock option, but he does. He's got. Oh, never mind. It's Rhypardos. Never mind. Ubermon. Excuse me. How dare I? How dare I doubt it? But the ground one is a bit of a miss because that's a hard type to not be weak against. But again, I missed it too, minus the Flygon. So.
I feel like he might end up picking up a ground type too for that King Gambit because if he wants hazards, there's a lot of ground. Well, I'm just saying there's a lot of ground types that get hazards.
Spoil anything, but yeah, that is what we're looking at.
Did you have a ground type in mind that you were thinking about?
So we're trying to something we should have done in the grace period, but trade and pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So Quagsire or Clodsire, one of those two, in place of King Gambit, and then making an upgrade somewhere else.
How much is Clodsire versus Pheasantipity? I think Pheasantipity, then you double up on poison, so maybe you get a different.
Pheasantipity's 11 and Clodsire's 12.
Oh, so you lose a point there. Okay.
But then if you swap the King Gambit for like anything, because King Gambit's really expensive.
I mean, if there's a killer fairy on the board, that might be a good exchange. Get the Clodsire, then pick up a good fairy. I mean, I do think Pheasantipity is solid. Don't get me wrong. But... I
like Quagsire more. Maybe it's because I just think he's cuter.
Well, and that mon is running like in all tiers. I mean, it's a good solid mon. You have Unaware. You have Water Absorb. It can do hazard stuff. It has Toxic and Scald. I mean,
there's also notably Treads and Excadrill are both still on the board if you want a spinner because like he doesn't have spin. He has 2 defogs but no spin. And they both get rocks as well. I don't know if either one gets spikes though. I don't think they do.
His defoggers are both likely to come to most games. So
that's true, and they're both very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, overall, I think it's a good start. He's gonna do that little patch up, but the type spread looks good. I guess we didn't talk about speed. Lopunny's crazy fast. You got a speed booster.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the speed's fine. And then got good switch initiative. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good team.
I must say, I think Pheasantipity is probably the mon that I have changed my opinion in the most drastically. Like, that mon is, like, it's so strong. The Toxic Chain is such...
Yeah. Working with Fred in
such a good
3,
ability.
It was like, oh, this mon is a mon. Like,
it's really good.
And also the fact that in singles, beat up hits 6 times, so that's 6 chances to poison something if you do that. Or tail slap, but that's inaccurate, so it's up to you. But Toxic Change is so good. But even just like going for you, bringing it in, maybe roost up or something because he does get roost, and then U-turn, and then the fact that your U-turn has a chance to poison is like crazy.
In certain matchups, it's just really hard to kill. So
almost impossible, I think, in some. Like the fact that like mons that have like sit on the field and do nothing syndrome in VGC, it's usually pretty bad. Pheasantipity is one of the ones that Colin and we just ran roost on it like most weeks, and our opponents, they were doubling into it and they still couldn't kill it.
Oh, you were
so
in VGC?
I can't even.
Oh.
Yeah, in VGC, it does not die.
Yep.
We had 2 Ogre Pawns spamming Ivy Cudgel into us. We just were able to roost it off and eventually poison them and kill them. It was well, we also used timer too, but that's besides the point. That mon does not die in doubles,
but
yeah. In singles, I can't even imagine how much of a beast it's gonna be.
Fair enough. Well, any more remarks for this team?
I don't know. It looks really good.
It looks really cute.
There you go. he's a lad. He's a lad.
I do have one more thing. I think this team does have possibly the worst Terra captains.
Well, no. Wait a minute. Wait for our next team before you say that.
Wait. Never mind.
Let me turn the page.
Second worst.
Let me turn the page. Let me turn the page. We do have Mega Swag.
But it's mostly a result of the rest of the team just being too good.
Oh wait, excuse me.
There's one team between them.
Not the next team. Excuse me. There is another one after that.
Two teams down the line.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying the next one.
Oh, were you? Oh, okay. I was talking.
Look ahead. Look ahead.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. I wasn't even thinking about the Ninetales. I was talking about the MSU Chi-Yu. But let me see the Ninetales. Let's flip the. Okay. So all right. So I I guess it's my turn to lead a conversation here. So immediately there are more ice types here than there were before, which makes me worried. But the obviously Kyurem Slowking was a very strong start. Slowking it's one of my favorite mons to use as a regenerator core mon. It just goes crazy. It cleans up toxic spikes. It does everything. And to get the slow switch out, set up the weather for Kyurem to get the extra defense. That's great. And you can run Kyurem specially if you want, so you can have Blizzard. It also has a freeze dry, as we've talked about several times over the course of this recording. I don't think he had a Heatran on his original game plan. I think he picked that up later because I know he dropped the Skarmory for it, which I was happy for. And I think he's just a huge Heatran fan. But it does have a common weakness to Slowking, which I'm not a huge fan of. Let's see, Orgrimmon Cornerstone, that mon was great. Again, up there with Scizor for like one of the most fun mons I had in Season 3. Having 100% accurate, 100 base power, I guess high crit ratio rock move is just chef's kiss. It's great. Let's see, Crocodile gives him a dark type, it's knockoff, an electric immunity, a psychic immunity. I mean, I think he's just kind of like a mon. He's not excelling anything, but he's got a lot all bundled into one. You got Intimidate, Moxie, you can run in different ways. So I think he's a very solid mon. You get that ground stab that we keep talking about. So that's very good. Togekiss, good fairy type. It's kind of withstood the generations other than just not being in this generation.
Yeah.
What does it spam with Serene Grace? I don't even remember.
Air Slash.
Air Slash.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's awful. Ugh. And then Starmie. I love Starmie. Fun spinner. He does double up on a psychic typing there, so made the Crocodile even more important for the Ghost Dark resistance there. But a solid Watermon has a really deep move pool for being a Gen 1 Mon. A lot of times you do have to run it with a Focus Sash. And it can be somewhat... you're going to get the hazards gone because you're so quickly, but you might not be able to do it through the entire game because you're so brittle. But very...
Well, speaking of non-brittle spinners, the next one up.
This was not here before, and I feel like we had a conversation, and I was like, nah. But we do have the Avalugg. It is a rapid spinner, which I'm guessing that's why I got picked up, and that maybe there was some tunnel vision on the fact that you get 1.5 multiplier on the 184 defense. I assume it has body press. So I mean,
yes,
it can probably do some stuff, but it's got the issue of being I guess it has recovery. I think it has recover.
Yeah, it's got recover. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it can heal.
It does,
up.
but it dies to a light breeze on special side.
Well, I mean, nobody. So does Kartana, right? But Kartana has speed to kill things.
Yeah.
You definitely run boots in this guy, especially if you're relying on him to be your. I mean, he's got 3 spinners, but 2 of them are
low tiers.
You're gonna have to Terra, and at least with Avalugg, you're definitely gonna have to be boots. He does have defog on Togi. I don't know if she typically has room for that. But,
she'll make room for it on this team, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think Snow's interesting and cool. I think maybe the commitment's a little maybe 1 to 2 mons more than I want here. Obviously you have Sand Rush on Sand Slash. I didn't bring that up, which is kind of cool. You have a base, where's the tech stat? 100. Okay, so not crazy. Actually.
It's not actually very good. It's the problem.
I thought. I guess maybe they dropped it. I think the other one has 120. They may have dropped.
I know it's 120 defense.
No,
it's 120 defense. They had the same stat line. I'm pretty certain. Maybe they.
Yeah, it's the same stat.
I think maybe the special attack dropped on this one, and the special defense went up a little bit.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah. This one has more special defense. The other one has more defense.
Yeah, I guess the 100 attack's not a lot for Slush Rush, or 100 attack rather. But and then there's Mawile. Somebody tag in.
And then there's Mawile.
Somebody tag in.
I am not an Avalugg believer. I think that was possibly the worst 4-point mon. I think I would take pretty much every 2 and 3-point mon over it. I think Avalugg is really, really bad. Unfortunately.
So the thing I think about Avalugg,
it needs like 4 items.
I think it's like all right, maybe if it's your only ice type, but it's definitely not one that you want to add when you already have a bunch of other ice types, or at least 2 other ice types.
Here's my problem, and Colin, you're gonna be upset about this too, is that he had a good Terra Captain in that spot. He had Ambipom.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh man. What are you doing?
I didn't ask. I mean, we talked about Empalm when it picked up. I was like, oh yeah, this is a great Terra Captain. You got U-turn. You got little extra fake out chippage. You got triple axle, knockoff.
Tyler, I'm begging you, please switch it back.
He didn't tell me why he made this trade. I don't know why he got rid of that, because I thought Empalm was a great Terra Captain, and you can attest that you had it before.
Yeah, it is a great Terra Captain. It's also one of those that makes use of its base one with normal. And going Terra Ice for triple axle with Technician is crazy. I don't know.
Let's see. In terms of speed, I mean, Starmie's fast, Ogerpon's fast. You can't Scarf Ogerpon. I mean, Kyurem's
a little bit slow, yeah.
Kyurem's fast. And you can Dragon Dance, or you can, I guess that's the only way to
Scale Shot.
Yeah, Scale Shot, thank you. And then, does Crooked Dragon Dance?
They get Scale Shot.
Okay.
I think it does get Dragon Dance.
Fair enough. He feels like more of a Scarfmon, honestly, but the...
I think he does get Dragon Dance.
Plenty of hazards, though. He's got Stealth Rocks out the wazoo. He's got, a couple of resources, Spikes, Ogerpon being the more consistent one. Toxic Spikes.
Well, you say Stealth Rocks up the wazoo, but 3 of them are Sand/Avalugg and Mawile.
Oh, I didn't even see the Mawile there. All right. Well, either way, the Heatran and the Crocodile are going to be there probably.
Yes.
Are good rock setters.
You have the option of Toxic Spikes with the Slowking, which is good. I don't think I brought it very many weeks. It just depends. I think that season in particular, we were just like, make sure you have a Poison Absorber, and everybody picked up a Poison type. So maybe you'll have more opportunities this season. We have Starmie for removal. We have Togekiss for removal. We have some. Let's see. We have only one source of Swish Initiative, which I guess is a little concerning.
Oh my.
That's the scariest part.
Oh, but there's also Chilly Reception too, though.
Oh yeah. True. How could I forget that? Does Togekiss get?
I do really like the top 7 of these.
Togekiss should get Baton Pass.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I'm pretty certain. I'm just like, Starmie has teleport. Actually, that's not.
That's fun.
It's not. I mean, not bulky, but I mean, it could happen. And it does get Baton Pass. So there's some Swish Initiative here. Let's see.
Slowking. This Slowking actually over the other one could technically trick if it's holding Black Sludge.
That's true.
It can. Black Sludge does a decent amount of chip. It's not like a reverse leftovers. It's like what, a 6th, or maybe that's too crazy.
8th.
I think it's an 8th.
Yeah, probably an 8th.
We got some reliable Thunder Wave. As reliable as a 90% move can be. We have and we have a Will-O-Wisper. I guess Starmie could run like a trick set if the matchup called for it. Like Spec Starmie actually could be a thing.
Because you could still run Rapid Spin on a Specs Mon.
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
Or Scarf.
It could definitely be done.
Well, there's definitely Specs, like Specs Greninja in Gen, I think 7 OU would still run Spikes, and you could just like set Spikes if you think they're gonna switch or whatever. Sometimes, or even just like bring it out, you clear the hazards, then sack it or whatever with the Starmie. It's doable. I wouldn't suggest it, but it's possible.
Let's see. In terms of weaknesses, we see the red column essentially for ground, barring like Togekiss carrying that. But I mean, you have 2 very defensive core Mons in Heatran and Slowking who are sharing that weakness. One of them times 4, so that's a little scary. Let's see, fighting. Fighting's pretty heavy too. I mean, Slowking can reliably check fighting, so it's not as bad.
And Togekiss too.
Yeah, they're both quad. Yeah, that's true. So that's not as bad as it looks.
And also, 2 of the fighting weaknesses are Avalugg and Sandslash.
Yeah. True. So that's not as bad. Fire's not as bad as it looks. Rock, Sekira, Togekiss. Again, it's only 2. So it's not too bad.
But also, Rock does hit everything for neutral except the Crocodile, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's something, like, you don't have a Rock resist is the problem.
And I can relate to that. So, I mean, again, it's really hard to find, which is why Stealth Rocks is so strong too. But the let's see, Ghost.
I mean, usually the Rock resist roll would go to your Steel type, but unfortunately, Heatran's just neutral on it.
Yeah. Well, same for like Corviknight and Skarmory and stuff like that too. So.
Yeah.
Actually has a decent steel weakness, which is interesting. He's not one you see too commonly. He does have a quad resist to that, but I mean, it's not as common.
Oh, that is actually true, because he's got all the ice types and then Togekiss and Ogerpon.
I think in my opinion, and I think y'all agree, the Avalugg should be something else. What else would you change out here though? I mean, I think a lot of these mons are pretty solid, like on their own.
Mm-hmm.
I do actually like Mawile for 2. I think that one is like one of the better. Maybe I just love Mawile, but I do think that it has utility, and also Intimidate. Like, while not as good as VGC, obviously is still pretty good. For switching in, being able to take hits. I really like the top 7.
Pass, I think it can technically slow pass.
It can.
You say you like the top
it's
7. I think this is one of those teams that if you look at the points right here, like I mean, yeah, they're definitely like the bulk of the points. It's a top heavy team. So I mean, if you look at it in vacuum and you just look at like these 7, I mean these all look like really good mons. So I mean,
and they are.
Yeah, they are. So I mean, it's like I was like, what could you pick up to really cover these? I mean, that's a separate conversation altogether that Tyler probably needs to think about. But I think he's got a great start to the team. I think a couple tweaks. I think this is going to be a very solid team going forward.
Agreed.
All right.
Almost
now
at
we
the
can
end.
This is now
continue our conversation.
This is the Terra Captain. This is the Terra Captain comments that I was. Go ahead, Colin.
So I am very glad that I play this team, and I do not. I literally only have to worry about 7 mons. Because wow, Vampy Morgrim.
I just realized Vampy doesn't even get sturdy. I thought it got sturdy like Dawnfan, but it doesn't.
Oh no.
You have to run the sash if you're doing fear.
Well, first off, the mons are all set to level 100. We clarified.
Yeah, that's true.
It's in the rules, but.
But this is Problem Child we're talking about.
This is true. Oh, and I added him. I did add him. So y'all said you should tell Kudu we can't do that. Like, you know what? You're right.
Just make sure he knows. Make sure he knows.
Yep.
Again, similar theme as Tomba's, with a very top heavy. They had 19, 18, and 17.
No, and they're all crazy good mons on their own for sure. The problem is the top 4 there are all special attackers,
and they're all fairy weak except for the Charizard.
That's also true. Good thing not everybody has a 160 base special attacking fairy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, his only physical attacker is the Lilligant. So I do think, like most teams, if you have a light screen option, throw it up. Like, what do you have to lose?
Yep. I don't know. This is a Sun team of all time. I mean, it's good.
Like,
it's good.
To be on, it's like on paper, it feels like it should be like really good,
Looking
and
at
it probably is. Yeah. But then you're like, oh, like there's a lot of overlap, I think, between a lot of the roles. I honestly feel like this team doesn't really even need the Darkrai, and I feel like it might be better if it dropped the Darkrai for some more like variety for the
like another dragon, like Dragapult. No, you're right. I mean, I'd have to look at the list. But the Darkrai tag out's actually a really good idea. I think that could, if you had like a good physical attacker to put there, or maybe like a good pivot mon. I mean, he has Deoxys defense, I guess, but I don't know. We say good pivots. The only pivot like switch initiative that he has up on paper that I'm seeing. Does Deoxys has teleport, right?
It's teleport.
It does, yeah.
Okay. So
I did not even know Raging Bolt learned Volt Switch.
I mean, that makes sense.
I feel like people would have been using it in VGC because that's a common VGC mod. I've never seen it use it.
People do. What?
I've never seen it.
Haven't played enough Raging Bolt, I guess.
I know. I guess not. Oh wait, yeah. Walking Wake also gets Flip Turn too, I think. So that's just not on.
Yes,
here.
It does.
The big thing though is that this team really, really wants to keep the hazards off the field because of that Charizard that can't have boots. Funnily enough, Lilligant learns Defog by level up, which when I learned that, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
it flaps its arms really hard.
You would think it would have Rapid Spin of all things, right?
I know.
You would.
But the Weezing is actually pretty interesting because that's the only one that can defog into, well, one of the only ones that can defog into Golden Go. So that's actually really nice that you can get rid of the rocks versus the Golden Go team.
That's funny.
Do you want to know? Oh, he does play the Golden Go team. Week 8.
Oh, fun.
I want to see it happen. I want to see Weezy defog Golden Go.
I can't wait to see the Golden Go run Ability Shield to block it. Yeah, no, I think it's this team will, I think, get wins just based on having a it's either going to win hard or lose hard, depending on what tools his opponent has to deal with all of that stuff at the top. If they can, tank a couple hits and then hit back hard with fairy attacks or get rocks up and chip out the Charizard, break a sash maybe on the Lilligant and then deal with it. I think he'll lose pretty easily, but I think if his opponents just don't have the tools, then he's just going to steamroll him with his top heavy core.
All of his cards are on the table. He is playing with an open hand.
It is
and I think that sometimes your hand it's a good hand. Mm-hmm. He has a flush, but some people can get to hide their hand and bluff.
The Darkrai Comet is piqued my interest because it's not needed for this team, so that really could be something to really. And it's a lot of points. It could really just patch this.
It's a lot of points.
That's a really.
He could get some real mons at the bottom.
I mean, it's also true. It doesn't have to be a single swap. He could swap out Darkrai and something else and get two like middle of the road like. Hey, these are gonna like fix my problems. So this team, scary stuff, and could honestly get rounded out really easily.
Very scary.
I think something we didn't talk
but
about.
But as it is now, it's As it is now, I would not say that I like this team. I don't think it's positioned particularly well, but with a few changes, it could definitely become really scary.
And I think he's already made a few changes. Like the Lilligant, I don't think was there on the original draft, so like that helped. No, yeah, because the Darkrai wasn't there either on the original draft. So he's already made changes to it.
I don't remember what
I think there could still get.
I just think those changes made it worse. Is the problem?
No, I think the Lilligant was a good choice. I think the Darkrai.
That's true.
May have been.
It's just the fairy weakness.
He may have drafted Lilligant. That seems familiar. Didn't he get like a chlorophyll? I'm trying to scroll up now.
I think he joined the call right after the draft and then made some free grace period trades. Because I remember the Darkrai was not there on the original.
Well, yeah, the Darkrai for sure. I'm just trying to see if there's any Canoe comment in the trade section to really catch up on. But
he was in the call. I think he joined the voice call.
I think he did them all live. He might have done any after. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like I said, we didn't mention this on the previous team. There was no swag, but we do have the.
We got swag.
We got some swag.
We got swag back.
And actually, I'm a known Charizard hater, but I actually do like Charizard Y's design. It looks more draconic. It doesn't look like a rubber chicken. I really do like I really do like Zard Y. I wish that was the original Zard design. And the shiny pops off.
I do like it's not too over designed like some megas can be.
It looks cool. And again, I mean, obviously, most turning a Pokemon to Jet Black usually is a freebie for shinies, but Charizard.
And it works.
It does work.
It does.
Oh, actually, wait a minute. We have something just in. I'm hearing something from my news reporters in the field. Tick by Joytics have officially not Tick by Joytics, excuse me. The where are they at? Where are the Smeargles?
Philadelphia Smeargles.
Yeah, they've made their choice. They are dropping Terra from Politoed, and they're
all right.
Might as well slap it on the clay doll.
There we go.
Breaking
news.
Did they give Terra types for it?
Ground, Ghost, and Steel.
Okay. Oh, Steel levitate's cool. Yeah. And it can spin block itself too, which is cool.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move into our last team here. We have the pivot team. We have our Greenville Greavards, which
back-to-back last picks.
Yep, last season and this season.
The season before that, he had the first pick.
And I'm pretty certain when we were doing the seeding for the schedule, he was also the last one on the spinner too. So, I don't know what position I'm putting him in when I'm spinning it, but I'm going to try to copy that position next time for myself. I am tired of being in the middle. But anyways, let's see. I think Conix, your turn to lead off a conversation here.
All right. So yeah, he got the Spectrier first pick, or no, I don't think he took it first pick. He took Garchomp first because it was gone by the time it got to me. Yeah. So Garchomp first pick. Honestly, a great mon, and I can agree with that because I have the other one. Spike, Stealth Rock. This one has the freedom of an item, which is really nice. He could go Rocky Helmet in some matchups, Leftovers and others. Very fun.
Choice.
Yeah. Next we got the Mega Scizor, which is
He didn't pick up Spectre until the third round, I will say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scizor was his second.
Yeah, Mega Scizor is like crazy. I didn't actually realize how high its attack and defense were until I'm looking at it right now.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah, 100. Like this one, it's crazy, and it gets all the like past gen moves. Like I said, Bug Bite,
Roost is the big
90
one.
base power bug move. Roost is a huge
because
one.
now you can reliably do sword dance sets on it, which is
Yep, and defog if you need that, which he probably doesn't because he's got 2 spinners and Rotom for defog.
Yep.
Even though that Rotom probably doesn't run it.
no good. Boots and Terra. Oh, it's not Terra Captain.
Mhm.
Wait. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
I
Yeah.
thought it was.
I feel like that one
Wait a
definitely
minute.
wants
Wait a
to.
minute. Oh no
probably.
no! It is a Terra Captain. I made a mistake and I manually edited the sheet earlier when I was fixing this up. I have a separate tab for that I've hidden. So it should look like this. Much better.
There we go.
Okay.
Those are 2 very good Terra Captains. So anyways,
Yes.
continue.
Yeah. So I feel like that Rotom over defog, it might want to do Bolt Beam with like Nasty Plot could be crazy. But yeah, it can also defog too. But he honestly doesn't even need the defog because he's got Tentacruel and Serena, which are 2 amazing rapid spinners. But he's also got the Clefable, which is like crazy mon in draft because it's got like Magic Guard and Underwear are both amazing abilities. It's got so many. Actually, I think Clefable has the widest move pool of all Pokemon. I think it learns the most amount of moves.
Really?
I think
It's
so.
got a lot. Behind Grumpig, actually.
It can teleport again now that that's back in the game.
Oh, that is big. Yeah.
Calm Mind, Moonlight, Stealth Rock, all kinds of stuff. Tentacruel does get Toxic Spikes. He has all hazards covered. Actually, you'd expect him to have a little bit more Stealth Rock just because a lot of stuff learns it, but only Chomp and Clefable get it. But that's fine. Clefable doesn't
Those are
mind
both
running
ones
rocks.
that are likely going to come to games, so that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think when we were talking with Dave recently, and I think Dave said that he liked the top, and then he felt like it fell off at the bottom.
It changed
but
a
these
lot.
changes have come through. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's changed, and I think Tentacruel and Serena were both amazing pickups that I don't think were on the first draft of the team.
They weren't.
And then even though Dave said Typhlosion was one of the ones that he doesn't like, I see the vision with it. It's he got specifically the Flash Fire one to switch in for the Scizor, I think, is the vision. And also, helps out the Serena and the Rotom as well.
You might
And just hits like a truck.
I was about to say you might be reading too far into it. I mean, there's Terrifier Typhlosion right there.
Yeah, Terrifier.
But I think that's the reason he took this one over the other one. Well, I guess the other one is you get a Ghost type, but he doesn't need a Ghost type. So yeah. I think
they're both. I think they're both good picks for the points they're at. But I think it's obviously your opponent knows I better watch out for Eruption this week. But maybe if you don't have the mons for it, you don't have the mons for it. So.
Yeah. Like the only thing is this team looks a little bit weak into water types, which I think the Serena helps with a lot, and then the Rotom also helps too. You don't hit water types very hard. You hit them neutrally, obviously, with Spectre and Garchomp.
Okay, gotcha. Well,
like bulky waters, but Serena helps a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
And then your team is outside of the Spectre, not very fast, so the Sticky Web helps patch up your 100 speeds, which is really nice. And honestly, Typhlosion's going to probably be scarfed a lot of the time too.
Yeah. No, I think this team got much better. The power's good at the top. The support is now very good. I think the Terra Captains are both good choices. You have a 130 to top out your speed tier. There's a bit of a gap, maybe in the middle, but I mean, you still have 3 Mons sitting around 100, so it's still very fast. And you mentioned Sticky Web already as an option. And you have base 150 Bullet Punch for priority. So
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to find room to complain about it. And a lot of people, it's just hard to find resistances to Ghost. I mean, Ghost can go ham, and that's the beauty of Polt and Spectrier is you can literally just.
And even if you want to resist the Ghost, you have to do it with Dark or Normal, and he's got fighting coverage on the Scizor and Fairy on the Clefable. He's got the tools to beat Ghost checks.
Yep. You can just click the Shadow Ball button sometimes. Spectre's, it's not as flexible as Polt, but I mean, it still has. One, he's already got Garchomp, so I don't think he needs another Dragon. But two,
yes,
it's got some other things it can do. I mean, you can still do sub Nasty Plot sets with Draining Kiss to set up. But I mean, some weeks again, if someone doesn't have the things to stop you, you pick up a kill and then you steamroll.
And even then, you can you can just run Will-O-Wisp on it too. If they switch in their Dark type or whatever they have to tank it, you can just cripple them with a burn and then get out of there.
If you're going up against the Gambit team, that's an easy call out.
And no Pursuit helps this team so much.
Yeah.
I think all Ghost and Psyche types are very happy that we decided to keep the ban on Pursuit. So, in terms of weaknesses, let's see. The ones that are lit up are the ones we're gonna look at first.
Fire's not really
Once again,
real.
that little thing above the rock, the little space above the rock.
No, again,
is red.
You wonder why I was such a big fan of Ogre Pond Cornerstone in Season 3 is because that a lot of times that's a free move to click. So just having stock, and it's hard to find a good stab rock move. So I mean, like you said, once again. But I mean, Chomp is obviously a great switch. They're gonna take
the big thing is that the 3 rock weaknesses are the 3 bottom ones, which 2 of which are going to Terra, and then the other one's a Sashed mon probably. And same thing with the fire. The like the Rotom and the Leavanny are contributing to that, but the Scizor's a real mon. I think the big one though is Ghost. Like he has 2 ghost weaknesses and it's completely unresisted.
He's
which
really
is
hoping
scary.
he's really hoping nobody picks up that Pult. But it's one team, so I mean, hey. I mean, what are the? I mean, I guess Goldango and like what else? What are the other big ghost threats that are like picked up right now?
Let's see.
Because I dropped Zoro.
Not many, in all honesty.
I mean,
there's a Gengar on Charlottezards.
True.
There's a little one called Silvally on the Carolina Beach Cyclizars.
Yeah, you're gonna be clicking those ghost moves with Silvally.
Yeah, maybe multi-attack. Honestly, really, there aren't many. There's Chandelure, and Basculegion is gonna go crazy here.
Female Basculegion could definitely be a thing for this team because it's gonna have Ice Beam. It's gonna have.
That's kind of it, yeah.
Ball. Yeah, it'll do well. So I mean, there's not a lot in that regard to worry about, but I mean, there's also just high special attack mons that can run Shadow Ball that we're not even accounting for. So I mean, it is a weakness, and again, I always personally struggle to find ghost weaknesses, ghost and dark weaknesses for the most part. It's just finding a good dark type. And did he didn't get a dark type, so I mean that's kind of why that's reflected here.
That's usually the one that you would pair with a ghost if you want to have a defensive switch.
Yep. But overall, the team from those last few pickups, it's just night and day. I think this is a very well-rounded. It's got power at the top, and it's got the utility. So I think it's a great team.
I think overall, like every team is like really good. Like I don't think there's like, and I think that's the thing. Like a lot of people going in when we randomize the schedules, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, my schedule is so hard." And I think that's just because every team is generally good. Like there aren't like bad teams, even though we like kind of point out a lot of weaknesses in some teams. I don't think any of them are considered bad teams.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. It's gonna be a really cool season. I think everybody was looking forward to Natdex, but I mean, just the options are wide open. Like even though you have 10 slots, you just have more options, and it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a very competitive season. I think there's gonna definitely be some explosive games that just kind of get out of control. But yeah. Looking forward to it. I think that wraps us up here. Anything else we want to tack on to this?
I've said all I need to say, I think.
Looking forward to the season. See y'all, both of you in playoffs for sure.
I know, like you said, it's hard to say that. I mean, there's a lot of scary teams.
I know.
But...
Yeah, no, I'm literally like when I saw Dave Week 1, I'm like, oh, I might not make playoffs this season if it's gonna be like that.
It's gonna be.
Yeah, I got Dave week 8. That's crazy. Finals are on the line, or playoffs are on the line. That can be crazy. I like look at the El Paso Eiscue schedule.
That is like the hardest schedule.
And that just goes to show like how good like the teams are.
Yeah. I think Cliff's comment was like, I'm gonna start this out 0-4.
No, that was my comment. Gliss was like, all right, guys, fun, enough with the jokes. Roll out the real schedule now. That's enough joking around, guys.
Everybody's schedule looks tough. I mean, there's a lot of good teams out there, and everybody's just been growing as players, so it's good to see. It's going to be fun. Well, again, thank y'all for joining me and doing this. I have a lot of fun doing this. I know everybody loves going back and watching the team review, particularly of their own team. So it's fun for everybody.
Leave your feedback in the comments below. Like and subscribe.
and until next time, we'll catch y'all later.